Hello, hello, hello. We should be live. There we go. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Apologies for the 1 minute delay. I was just getting some stuff set up in time for the stream, and clearly I'd mistimed it ever so slightly. So, welcome along here to the race weekend here in Qatar. We have got 1 hour till the race gets underway, but still a lot of action to look forward to. So, yeah, we've had Oscar Piastri on pole position. He has in fact topped every single session this weekend. He topped FB1, topped sprint quali, topped the sprint race, and now has also topped the actual qualifying. So maybe he'll go 5 for 5 and he will get, P1 in every single qualies in every single session this weekend. That'll be very, very good, won't it, for his championship chances and for his momentum. Yeah. Hello, hello. We've already got 2,000 people tuned in. Nice to see that you're all here. And we'll be getting underway for a very, very exciting race shortly. Okay. Oscar Grand Slam incoming? Well, maybe. According to the strategy, it may work out to be the best thing for Oscar Piastri to stay out in clean air as much as he possibly can. That's the way things are looking. Another thing to point out is a lot of drivers, and in fact Toto Wolff as well, were talking about the clean and the dirty side of the grid, and here in Qatar it plays a huge, huge factor in terms of if you're going to get a good start to your race and if you will have a good run in towards turn number one. It's not just it's not just your launch and your reaction time, but if you are on the clean side of the grid, it helps incredibly. So all of the drivers with even numbers as their starting positions, so Norris, Russell, Hadjar, they're all on the dirty side of the grid, unfortunately, and then all of the drivers with the odd numbers, they are on the clean side of the grid. All right, we have got all 20 drivers racing. Currently, we've just got the standings up from Q3 at the end of the session. We'll be getting the data coming through for the race in around about 20 minutes time or so. That is when we're expecting the data for the race to come through. Okay. Turn 1 is going to be chaotic. Indeed it is. There's 370 meters from the pole position all the way in towards turn 1. And the big problem is here in Qatar is that turn 1 isn't a heavy braking zone, right? Let's look at let's look at other circuits on the calendar, right? We look at Mexico, huge braking towards turn number 1. Bahrain, another very big braking zone. Same thing for Canada. You're down in second gear. The run isn't that big into the turn 1 at Canada, but still it's a second gear corner. Into Brazil, it's a third gear corner at turn 1. So Qatar is one of those standout circuits where turn 1 isn't a big braking zone, and the problem with that is that the drivers are braking at around about the 40 meter mark, 50 meter mark, and essentially what that does is, it makes it very hard to pull off an overtake into turn 1. So we'll see how it goes. But of course, what we saw yesterday was the top 3 held position. Yes, folks, the race is in 1 hour's time. The streams always start this early, so I guess the next time the notification comes through for the race, at least you can wait an hour before you actually click on it. Do you think Gasly can cook next year with the Mercedes motor in the Alpine? I think Gasly will have a good year next year. I don't know if Alpine are taking the Mercedes power unit next year. Alpine Mercedes power unit? I thought Alpine was still sticking with their own. PU 2026. Let me just Google that. Oh no, Alpine are to use the Mercedes power unit in 2026. That is correct. So apologies there for that one. Yeah, that should be good then, because I do actually have a stat up here on the screen. Let me bring it up. Where is it? Oh yeah, let's bring that just above the chat. Let's go back. If we look at, this is Q3 appearances here. We're at round number 23 of 24 in the Formula 1 calendar. So Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri have made it through into Q3 every single time this season, which is, of course, to be expected. Their car is a rocket ship. Max Verstappen, George Russell and Charles Leclerc have made it through every single time apart from one occasion. But let's look a little bit further down the screen. Who do we see there on the left-hand side? Pierre Gasly in the Alpine that is an absolute tractor is has made it through into Q3 10 times this season, and I don't know how he does it, but there are certain racetracks where Pierre Gasly is absolutely locked in at, and it just, well, creates an incredible, he just puts together an incredible performance. Brazil's one of those circuits, I think Bahrain's another one of those circuits, and here he is in Qatar doing a great job as well. We've, of course, got a few other drivers who have made one or two appearances. Nico Hülkenberg only made it through one time. That being said, though, Hülkenberg still has scored some pretty solid points in the Constructors' Championship. His quali performances may not be up there, but his race performances certainly are. We have got Yuki Tsunoda tied with 8 appearances in Q3 alongside Liam Lawson. So, going pretty much level there, but Isaac Hadjar, you can see Isaac Hadjar's got 15 Q3 appearances with the Racing Bulls, and that matches Lewis Hamilton in the Ferrari. So Hadjar has been doing a brilliant job this season, especially given that it is his rookie season. Antonelli, of course, 16 times he's made it through in towards Q3, so great job from Antonelli as well. Of course, he has a slightly quicker car than Isaac Hadjar does. F1 Gamer, do you think it's time for Hamilton to hang it up and drive off into the sunset? I think he should wait for 2026. I don't know how good Ferrari will be in 2026, but as the Ferrari motto goes, next year will be our year, and we'll see how the Ferrari team does. We'll see what... we'll see if Hamilton can match Charles Leclerc next year. Then there is reason to stay with the Ferrari team. There's reason to continue. If not, however, if we have another season where Lewis Hamilton gets beaten, 60-70% of the time by Charles Leclerc, then maybe it is time to hang up those racing boots and the racing helmet. But that being said, Hamilton, up until this point, if you exclude this season, his career has been incredible regardless. At what position can Norris finish and have sealed the championship? Essentially, what he has got to do, he's got to outscore Max Verstappen by one singular point. So essentially, if Max does not finish ahead of Lando Norris in the race today, then it is over for Max Verstappen, and Lando Norris will... Max Verstappen is out of the running. And then currently, the points gap, let me bring that up. So where is the points gap? There we go. Oscar Piastri is 22 points behind. So if Norris outscores Oscar Piastri by 4 points or more, then Norris will have sealed the deal. So if it's Norris P1, Piastri P2, Norris wins the championship one race early. If it's the other way around, then it goes towards Abu Dhabi. But we'll have to see, and I will also, of course, bring up the championship standings during the race to let you know what the situation is when once lap number 1 has been completed. Okay, 3,500 people. Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. Goes a long way to helping out the channel, folks. And well, it's been quite the good season really for the channel. We've nearly doubled in subscribers, and it is all thanks to you guys tuning in and hitting the like button and everything like that. 2026 F1 will be chaos. It will be with such big regulation change, engine changes, aerodynamic changes. It is going to be a very, very big mix-up. Okay. What else have we got to go through? Oh, to be fair, I've got quite a few good quotes here from the drivers in the press conferences afterwards, so let's go through that. Charles Leclerc ended up in P10 at the end of qualifying. He had a very big spin in going through turn number 15. Very weird corner to have a spin at as well. Turn 15 is a 6th gear corner. At that point, the cars have got nearly 2 tons of downforce squeezing the all 4 tires into the ground. But yeah, for whatever reason, the car just snapped away from Charles Leclerc. And it's not for whatever reason. The Ferrari car has been notably unstable throughout the entire season. Leclerc dealing with it a little bit better than Lewis Hamilton, but essentially said, I took a stupid amount of risk like I do through every single corner in Q3 to try and get P8 and P9. Like, Charles Leclerc is just extremely frustrated, and that's probably the best way to describe what the mood is down at the Ferrari garage. Lewis Hamilton yesterday started the race from the pit lane. They made a bunch of setup changes overnight. They had the test drivers in the simulator overnight trying to find a better balance of the car, and Hamilton said that they went in the exact opposite direction. So I don't know what the test drivers in the simulator were doing to go in the exact opposite direction, but maybe we'll see Hamilton start from the pit lane. That has not been confirmed. Franco Colapinto has been confirmed to start from the pits, but I haven't got any further confirmation from anyone else as of right now. Where can you watch the Formula 1? You can watch it via Surfshark VPN using the link in the description. It is $2 a month. Then you join an Austrian VPN server, you search ORF Formula 1, and you can watch the coverage there. It is the commentary is in German, but of course, if you understand German, that's great. If not, you just mute the coverage and listen to me commentate, but you can still watch the cars go around the circuit. All right. Piastri's really turned things around. Indeed, he has. In fact, there is I've got an image here of Oscar Piastri. What was I? Where has it gone? Absolute cinema. Piastri has topped every single session this weekend, and well, as of right now, it is looking absolute cinema for Oscar Piastri. But is it too late? That is the question. He has been doing fantastic. You know, if you look at the first two-thirds of the season, Piastri has been performing very, very consistently, very well, and the final third of the season, where we approach tracks that are much more street circuit like, and they're a little bit more bumpy, they haven't got as much grip as standard racetracks have got, then Oscar Piastri starts to struggle. We saw in Las Vegas he was struggling, in Baku he was struggling, and that's what Andrea Stella, the sort of McLaren sort of technical guy, was saying, that Piastri is really good at these high grip, high downforce tracks where the surface is very smooth, but when it gets bumpy, when it's like a street circuit, Oscar Piastri is not that good compared to Lando Norris. But of course, you've got to understand that in the world of Formula 2, in Formula 3, the drivers are racing at purpose-built racetracks. So Piastri has got far more experience at purpose-built racetracks throughout his junior career, and then in Formula 1 you go to the street circuits like Singapore, you go to street circuits like Vegas, like Baku, and that makes it a big sort of learning curve, and he's still clearly got some more improvement left to go. But let's run through a few more things. We've got Max Verstappen saying when asked about starting P3 in Qatar, he says, no, it's more annoying for the people next to me because I have nothing to lose. And the best way to describe that is, I am not in danger because I am the danger. So we'll see how Max does and what he does going in towards turn number 1. However, I have a feeling that Max is going to send it because at the end of the day, he has got nothing to lose compared to everyone else who has got something to do. Oscar Piastri is fighting quite hard for this championship. And we'll sort of see how that goes. There's another quote here. Lewis Hamilton. Where's it gone? Oh, wrong way. There we go. Pierre Gasly came up to Lewis Hamilton after qualifying. After the sprint race, and said, "Yo, you look so bad." And Lewis Hamilton was like, "Yeah, I know. No shit, Sherlock." That's essentially what he said. Which is, you can see Hamilton looks totally deflated and depressed at the end of this season, and he's just hoping for the next season to start. All right, I think we'll be getting the race data coming through. In fact, yes, there we go. We've got the race data coming through. 57 laps of racing here, folks. I'll be covering the tyre strategy and stuff like that. As we get closer to the start of the race. Max needs to pull a reaction time of 0.04 on Valtteri Bottas and start with the softs. Folks, that is something that I am going to sort of talk through, and there is a very good idea of... I've come up with this idea, right? I've cooked pretty hard. I think I have at least. So I'll let you know of the strategy that I've come up with. 50,000 fine for the language. Oh no, yeah, the FIA is going to come after me for swearing. But no, I try to keep swearing to a minimum on the streams. But I think on this occasion it was a little bit warranted with the way that Lewis Hamilton was feeling. This is a piece of gravel, folks. Not the most exciting thing in the world, but essentially, what has been going on is a lot of talk about the gravel traps. Are they dangerous? Are they not? This is probably one of the biggest piece of gravels in the trap itself. Most of them are a little bit smaller, but I have a feeling that in the next years or the coming years, the FIA are going to have sort of stricter rules on how big this gravel can be, because yes, if it's this big, this sharp, then there may be some problems for the drivers, could be causing severe sort of damage to the tires, could result in a puncture. Another thing what to talk about is Oscar Piastri. So we saw him lead from the start of the sprint race, right? Not a single lock-up, not a single bit of snap of oversteer. It was all pretty much perfect for Oscar Piastri during the sprint race. That was a 19-lap sprint race, okay? And no pits, he didn't come into the pits, just used the exact same set of tires for the whole race. And he said at the end of the sprint race, he was starting to feel vibrations through this car, and he was feeling vibrations in the steering wheel because of the tires wearing out in an uneven way. But essentially, normally when you feel vibrations in the car, it's because you lock up. And once you lock up, it means that your tire that is normally round, one section of it skids along the ground, and that section becomes a little bit more flat, and the rest of the tire remains perfectly circular. And what results is, you have a flat section to your circular tyre, and that's what causes the vibrations. But Oscar Piastri didn't even lock up. But after 19 laps of this on the same set of medium tyres for yesterday's race, he was starting to feel vibrations in the car, which isn't a positive sign. And, we'll see how the tyres play out for today's race. Any alternatives for gravel? Yeah, you could replace it with sand. I'm not sure. I guess it also depends on the sand could be really sharp and obviously then cause more damage. And then the problem with sand is that if it does get kicked up, it would get kicked up into the intakes of the cars following behind. And then, you do not want sand going into an engine, because that is just a recipe for trouble. Why not use tomatoes instead of gravel? That's a pretty good idea. You also, if you drive over the tomatoes, it's nice and slippery, and the drivers lose a lot of lap time there. The tomatoes, I'm sure, will be pretty cold as well, so that will reduce tire temperature, hence causing them to lose even more time. But at that point, you could just have a puddle of water. You could just have a puddle of water that constantly gets refilled just on the right side of the curb. However, having a puddle of water would mean the drivers would aquaplane because they're on slicks and they'd crash immediately. So probably not the best idea. New definition of sandbagging, of course. Yeah, that's not also probably not the best way to go about it. Having sand on the edge of the circuit. I think grass might be all right. Banana peels, also a good suggestion. I think I'll write an email to the FIA suggesting all of these different things. How about a sausage curb? Sausage curbs are all right. However, the problem is with the sausage curbs is if the drivers hit them at an incorrect angle, they can be launched up into the air, which we have seen happen in the past in Monza and in Austria as well. And essentially, you do not want a Formula One car going airborne. It's a recipe for trouble. So that's Okay. A few other things to talk about then. We have got the race strategy. So let's go through the race strategy that I've sort of cooked up that I think is going to be that I think is going to be a good idea. So this is the strategies that Pirelli have suggested. Start the race on the mediums, go between lap number 19 and lap number 25 on the first set, then pit onto another set of mediums, then go onto a set of softs right at the end of the race. Which, while I think that is a good idea, it's what could be even better. So let's consider, right, you are Charles Leclerc, you're in 10th position for the start of the race, and, you're starting on the dirty side of the grid as well, which makes it even harder to make some overtakes in toward turns number 1, and you might even lose a position. Fernando Alonso is also quite annoyed that he qualified in 8th position. He would have been happier to qualify in 9th, because he's now on the dirty side of the grid, and he was essentially saying in an interview that, because he's on the dirty side of the grid now, it's pretty much guaranteed he's going to lose the position, which is yeah, not ideal, not what you want to see happening, not what you want to hear from the drivers, essentially. Jedi Fire, thanks for the donation. Good afternoon, F1 Gamer. Hope you're well. Looking forward to seeing the Williams in the points today, perhaps even a Hamilton-Rosberg style crash between the McLarens. It could happen, you know. Where did Rosberg and Hamilton crash going in towards turn number 4 in Barcelona? And of course, turns 1, 2, 3, and 4, all very high-speed corners to start off the lap in Barcelona. And we've got also 4 high-speed corners here in Qatar. So maybe it'll happen. But now, moving on to my big brain strategy, it is Charles Leclerc, you know, who's at a disadvantage already, starting in 10th, starting on the dirty side of the grid. What he should do, instead of starting the race on the medium, start the race on the soft tyres, right? So only do, so start the race on the softs, and here you can see you gain a 4-meter advantage off the medium tire runners, nearly an 8-meter advantage over the hard tire runners, okay, off the line, because you're starting on the soft tires. Then on lap number 7, what you do is you come into the pits and you drop all the way to the back of the pack. You know, the gap between 10th position and 20th position isn't going to be that big 7 laps into the race, and Leclerc will have huge amounts of clean air when he comes into the pits, or whichever driver we're talking about here. But for example, Charles Leclerc, he comes into the pits lap number 7 after doing 7 laps on soft, so potentially he gets a really good launch, maybe goes up into 8th position, maybe 7th position, because he starts on the softs, then comes into the pits, and then does 25 laps on a set of medium tyres in a whole bunch of clean air, and then also does his final stint also on medium tyres, again in quite a lot of clean air. And because he's in the clean air, no sort of dirty air, he'll be undercutting everyone by a huge margin, and that might result in, him getting up into the top 5, into the top 4. So that is my strategy. I mean, let me know what you think, if that's going to work or not. But coming into the pits really early, then getting a bunch of clean air while everyone else is managing their tyres in dirty air, and, you know, they're not trying to get too close to the driver ahead because it's going to overheat their tyres and things like that. Come into the pits nice and early, whole bunch of clean air ahead of you on the circuit. That might be the way forward. Is the dirty side or the side with the least rubber? Indeed it is. So the drivers with even numbers, so number 2nd position, 4th position, 6th position, they're on the right hand side of the grid, and that part isn't rubbered in, and the left hand side of the track is rubbered in. So that is, yeah, that's essentially the idea in terms of the dirty air and the clean air. This strategy wins the race. Someone else thinks it's a small brain strategy. Who knows? I don't know if Ferrari could cook that up. So let's see. I think someone else will. I think one of the drivers, especially towards the back of the pack, I think Tsunoda really hasn't got much to lose in this situation. Why not try out that strategy? Okay. Let's run through the rest of the graphics that I have got here. What was I talking about? I think that's all of them. Yeah, that's most of them. We have got a 26-second pit stop loss time. So as you can see there at the top of the screen, the drivers will lose 26 seconds coming into the... Ooh, why is it not zooming out? They'll lose 26 seconds when they come into the pits. Will be guaranteed a 2-stop as well. All right. F1 Gamer, do you know how the Sprint and Quali Max's old power unit are now going the new power unit from Brazil? Okay, I didn't know that, but the drivers are well within their right to do that switch between power units depending on what the session is looking like. So Max, of course, he found it very difficult to overtake in the sprint race. So putting on a new power unit, getting a little bit, an extra 2-3 kilometers per hour will definitely help him out in trying to make some overtakes. So we'll see how that works out for him. Okay. Is the race timer correct? Yes, it is. The race is starting in 40 minutes' time. What is dirty air? The dirty air is essentially... it's just turbulent air that comes off the car that you're following, and that makes your downforce levels a little bit worse, and that's why we call it dirty air, because it slows you down. Why is it 26 seconds instead of 22? It's just that the pit lane here in Qatar is quite long. You can see here it starts very early on in the straight and then ends right at the end of the straight as well. So it's quite the long pit lane, and that's why it takes an extra few seconds to drive through. How will quali work next year with two more cars on the grid? Will it drop each? I think they will drop 6 in Q1 and 6 in Q2 so it'll remain to be a top 10 shootout. I think that would be the way that would go about it, but I guess the FIA can decide next year. Alright folks, the drivers are on their reconnaissance lap, so they're coming out onto the circuit, driving around to get a feel for the conditions, and then they'll be lining up on the starting grid very, very shortly. Brilliant, brilliant. Does the DRS compensate for the dirty air? Normally it does compensate for the dirty air. However, here in Qatar, we've only got one DRS zone. So typically if you had two DRS zones, it would be sufficient to compensate. But in Qatar, we've only got one DRS zone, which makes it a bit of a problem. Pre-race warm-up coffee and Max train versus the papayas. Yeah, we'll see what Max can do against the two papayas. Maybe, I think the two McLarens will be going head-to-head in towards turn one, and Max is going to go pick up whatever the scraps are. If Norris tries to send one down the inside and they both go wide, Max will try to slip through on the inside and take P1. Who knows what will happen. F1 Gamer, why do they keep gravel on the circuits? Why not extend the road? Track limits at most. The reason that they keep gravel is to prevent the drivers going wide at track limits. We saw yesterday that only, it was Tsunoda and Antonelli got 5-second time penalties for track limits. But if the gravel wasn't there, we would have had way more drivers getting lap times deleted and way more drivers getting penalties as well. Because here in Qatar, you gain boatloads of lap time by going wide on the curbs and widening your entry as well. So that is, that's sort of the reason why we've added gravel traps, is to prevent endless amounts of lap times being deleted. Yeah, having that much runoff is just a little bit too forgiving. You can have grass, you can have gravel, whatever it is, but if you continue just directly having runoff area, the drivers are just going to take advantage of that and not drive on the actual racetrack. Have you ever driven behind a big semi and felt the air push right behind you before you get close to the thing and then it seems to stop? Yes, I have. In fact, it's a lot more noticeable when you're on a motorcycle and you are trying to slipstream a car ahead of you. So I was doing that, and it's very much noticeable. If you are about 1 or 2 car lengths back from a car and you're on a motorcycle slipstreaming them, your front wheels start wobbling a little bit, like it feels a little bit unsteady, but if you're tucked right in behind the car, it feels nice and smooth. So that's essentially what dirty air is, if any of you guys have experienced that. What's going on with Lewis? Did Ferrari mess up the strategy, or what are they doing, researching for next year's instead of upgrading? Well, Ferrari, I don't even know. Folks, I do have a question to ask you. Is it more embarrassing for Lewis Hamilton, the performances that are going on, or is it more embarrassing for the Ferrari team? Because, it's an all-round just terrible show from Ferrari, but which driver or which person is it worse for? Is it worse for Hamilton? Is it worse for the team of Ferrari as a whole? But essentially what happened yesterday was, if we look back to Friday, the pace was not that good for Lewis Hamilton in sprint quali. So the team were like, okay, we're going to make some setup changes, start from the pit lane. And the setup changes they made were based off what the test drivers did in the simulator, all over, last night. So the test driver worked throughout the night, found a better setup. They put it on Hamilton's car. Hamilton said it was even worse. So firstly, that indicates that their simulator must be terrible, or their test driver has no idea how to drive a car. I don't know which one it is, but if the simulator is terrible for the Ferrari team, it doesn't bode well for 2026, because, most of the car gets designed in the simulator first, and then they do preseason testing, in January or in February. And if their simulator is wrong for the 2025 car, well, how is it going to be correct for the 2026 car? So there's that. And essentially what Hamilton has been saying is that they get snap oversteer, and that's what happened to Charles Leclerc. If you were watching his quali lap or his his spin that he had at turn number 15 during quali, he turned into the corner. He has nearly 2 tons of downforce squeezing the car into the ground, and still the Ferrari just snaps. It loses all of its rear grip suddenly, and then the car just snaps like this, and Leclerc barely kept it out the barriers, but Hamilton having a much more tough time dealing with that. And I think Hamilton, what at least the experts say is Hamilton prefers a car that understeers a little bit more, and of course an oversteery car that snaps all the time is the exact opposite of what Hamilton prefers. So that might explain the difference between Leclerc and Hamilton in terms of pace, but the fact that Ferrari are just so far down is totally a Ferrari problem. Right, Orphan 1989, thanks for the donation. Prediction: contact between the two McLarens turn 1, not enough for a DNF, but enough that they need to pit lap 1, needing to get through the whole grid. If they pit lap 1, that means they will have to do 3 pit stops, folks. It is because you have to do, your stint has to be 25 laps long at a maximum. So if they pit lap 1, or any driver pits lap number 1, they will have to do 3 pit stops, which will be catastrophic for their race, because you lose 26 seconds in the pit lane, not the normal 22, not 21, 23, 26, which is, just brutal. F1 Gamer, any chance you may commentate on other motorsports as well, MotoGP or Rally? I would love to commentate on other motorsports as well. However, I haven't got all of the knowledge or the expertise to commentate on that. I know a lot about Formula 1, which makes it easier to commentate. I don't know that much about rallying. So, but if I got more time on my hands right now, of course, I'm doing an engineering degree, which occupies most of my time. But if there was a situation where I didn't have an engineering degree to do and had a lot more time on my hands, then that would be something that I'm really interested in doing. Can they do a one-stop medium and hard? They theoretically could, but the rules dictated by Pirelli, Pirelli are worried about the tyres getting a puncture, the tyres failing because of all of the high-speed corners in Qatar. Pirelli have said maximum 25 laps you can do on a set of tyres during the race. You cannot do more than 25, and if you do, you'll be getting disqualified or whatever the rules say. So, so the teams could, Piastri could do a one-stop if he was driving really slowly and he could make the tyres last, but the rules say you're not allowed to do that. They are only reconning the circuit. Yes, folks, they are they're driving around the pit lane. They're driving through the pit lane, driving around the circuit, getting a feel for the grip levels. Of course, the temperature is slightly different. We're at 29 degrees Celsius, so different to what they were doing in quali yesterday, and they're just getting ready for, going racing. Do you think Lando will be able to win the championship today? With the way that Piastri has been going this weekend, I think it's not that likely. Piastri has just been an absolute rocket ship this weekend, and Norris is also starting on the dirty side of the grid, which makes it very difficult for him to make an overtake. And in fact, Norris will probably be looking in his mirrors to check what Max Verstappen is doing more than looking forward to see if he can overtake Oscar Piastri. So I think we are going to have the championship go down to the wire in Abu Dhabi. Okay, ads off. The ads are off, folks. I've blocked all of the adverts. I think you get one advert when you click on the live stream right at the start, but I think everyone else hasn't been getting any adverts. At least I've been blocking them as much as I can, but I don't know what YouTube's doing. YouTube did send me an email about some advert changes, but I don't think most people are getting adverts. You can take the chat off from the right side of the screen. Indeed, I will. Once we get close to the start of the race, I'll move my webcam up to the top, and then so you guys can read the radios. Okay, Franco Colapinto's starting the race from the pits. Haven't got any more confirmations just yet about who's starting the race in the pit lane and who's not. But one thing I do know, Colapinto's starting from the pits. Okay, Lando wins the race and he'll be champion no matter what. That is correct, folks. If Lando wins and Piastri can come second, he can come 10th or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. If Norris wins the title. What degree are you doing in engineering? And mechanical engineering, folks. Mechanical. Yeah. Okay. Are the laps counted by the laps done on tyres? No, it is the laps counted in the race itself. So you could do 5 laps in sprint quali and then do another 25 laps in the race. That would be fine. However, the thing is, all of the teams, every single driver from first position to 20th position has got 2 fresh sets of mediums. They've also got 1 fresh set of hard, and some of the drivers have got some fresh sets of soft tyres. So I don't suspect anyone will be using used tyres unless they're out on the softs. In that case, of course, they may be doing, they'll be starting the race on the softs or going right at the end on the softs, but everyone has got 2 fresh sets of mediums and also 1 fresh set of hards, so it'll be fresh tyres for the majority of this race. F1 Gamer is third, more of an advantage, like second. Well, the thing is, it's not that big of a... Okay, wait, let's see. So going in towards turn number 1, you've got a 370 meter run. So where pole position is, going in towards turn 1, there is 370 meters in between who has... into the braking zone, which means that third position probably is about equal as P2. Like, P2 will start 8 meters up the road. However, they will get a worse start because they're on the dirty side of the grid. And then with the slipstream taken into account of the 370 meters go in towards the braking zone of turn number 1, P2 and P3 will be about level. So yeah, that's at least what I think. How many laps have they done before the race? They can do as many laps as they want, but the pit lane exit has been closed. So, folks, just to confirm, Franco Colapinto is the only driver that is starting the race in the pit lane. Everyone else is starting the race on the normal track from the grid positions. Is 2 pit stops mandatory, or are 2 tyre changes necessary? Aren't they the same thing? 2 pit stops and 2 tyre changes? Yeah. What is your expectation? Norris wins the championship, or both McLarens crash, or Max wins? I suspect, my predictions are that after the first round of pit stops, whatever the order is, it is probably going to stay similar, unless it's a safety car or anything like that. I don't know about McLaren's contact, really, because this is essentially Lando Norris's championship to lose. Like, if we look at the standings here, you can see 396 points for Norris. He's 22 ahead of Oscar Piastri. So even if Lando Norris comes in second position, Piastri comes P1, that 22 points gap goes down to 15, which would still require Piastri to win the race and then Norris to come down in like 5th position, I think, or 6th position for Piastri to win the title in Abu Dhabi. So this is very much Norris's championship to lose, so I don't think he'll be taking risks, whereas Verstappen and Piastri know that, they've got to give it absolutely everything. And they need a bit of luck on their side as well to win the title. For that reason, I don't think the McLarens will collide. However, I think Verstappen and Norris may have an incident, shall we say. Thanks for the donation there, Ayush. Yeah. Norris's papaya rules. Of course, yes. Papaya rules is... the rule is essentially don't crash into your teammate. Yeah. The race hasn't started yet. No, folks, the race is starting in 27 minutes. Folks, the race is on ORF, O for Oscar, R for race, F for Ferrari, if you connect to an Austrian VPN server. Will MOM mode next season be applicable anywhere on the track, or will it be like DRS? MOM mode next year will be applicable everywhere around the circuit, but I'll probably be making a video about it in the off-season to sort of explain how it's, how it works and everything along those lines. Will they get penalised for not doing 2 stops, or the entire thing is just a recommendation? They will get penalised. The rule is that you have to do 2 pit stops, otherwise you're not allowed to. You'll probably get disqualified, I think. How to donate? There's a donate button on just at the bottom of the YouTube chat. Yeah, but don't feel like you guys need to. You guys have helped out significantly on the channel. The data's just giving a quick refresh, folks. The data will be back in approximately 20 seconds or so, and we'll get everything back up onto the screen shortly. We've got 7,000 people tuning into the live stream. Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. It goes a long way to helping out the channel. And we'll be getting underway for the racing very, very shortly. Okay, brilliant. Can you broadcast the turn-on action for just this race? No, I mean, I would get copyrighted, and then that would also lead for me not being able to stream for Abu Dhabi, so absolutely not. Right, everyone has one fresh and one medium. No, everyone has two fresh mediums and one fresh hard tires. That is the tire situation as of right now. Norris punts Max and gets disqualified. Piastri wins. We shall see how it goes. There are so many different combinations of what happens in towards turn number one. It is very, very unpredictable. Yeah. But one thing I would like to tell you guys, so in fact, let's go for an onboard lap and I'll just show you what I'm about to talk about. So in towards turn number one, let me, come on, here we go. Okay, let's get rid of the YouTube chat for now. And yeah, so in towards turn number one, it's a very, very small braking zone, which makes it difficult to overtake. You know, all of the other key braking zones, you look at, you know, where is an optimal overtaking zone in Bahrain? It's turn one. You brake at the 100-meter mark, 110 meters out. Very, very big braking zone. Same thing at Monza. And any real overtaking zone that we look at throughout the whole Formula 1 season, the drivers are braking for at least 80 meters or so. And that means it gives you the opportunity to outbrake your rival in towards the corner. If you're only braking for 40 meters, you can't shorten that braking zone that much to actually pull off an overtake, which is the difficulty around here in Qatar. So the drivers in towards turn number one brake, and it's the fourth gear around here. And the one thing I would like to mention, on the exit of turn one, on the left-hand side of this curb that you can see, there is a gravel trap. So anyone that is on the inside line, for example, Lando Norris or George Russell, who are starting on the right-hand side of the grid, they can very, very easily push anyone off into the gravel. Not, you know, they can give them a little tap or they can squeeze them towards the gravel, cause them to lose a lot of lap time. And because it is a turn one, lap one incident, they're probably also going to get away with it. That being said, you know, it doesn't have to be just Norris or Russell. You know, Verstappen could pick the inside line in towards turn one and he could do the same. But there is a gravel trap there, and that is a concern for anyone that's hanging it around the outside at turn one. Very, very easy to get pushed or squeezed off towards the gravel trap. All right, let's continue on through the flying lap. You go towards turn number two here. Again, you can go side by side through two. Turn three is very much a kink in the road, not too much of a concern. Turn four, a pretty big braking zone here. The driver's braking. Actually, it's not even that big of a braking zone. The drivers approach in sixth gear. They should go down to fourth gear. You know, if I was a good driver in this game, I would have shifted down into fourth, but you make your way through five, and then turn six. This is the big braking zone. You brake from sixth gear down into second gear, maybe even first gear. At the start of the race, when you've got a lot of fuel in the car rotates a lot slower. So first gear might be optimal for that corner. Then you go through turns number 7. It's reasonably easy to sort of stay on the circuit here. A lot of drivers do actually miss the apex of turn number 7 because their car starts to understeer ever so slightly. We saw it with Hamilton, we saw it with Alonso, but yeah, they make their way through, and the apex of turn number 7 again isn't that big of a concern in the grand scheme of things. Turn number 10, this is the corner where Yuki Tsunoda exceeded track limits 4 laps in a row and got a penalty. So this is where it is, and there is no gravel trap here on the right hand side. So the drivers drift, an extra car width to the right hand side, and they exceed track limits, and no sort of consequences apart from getting your lap time deleted and then getting a penalty. So Tsunoda will be very wary not to do that one again. And then, of course, you get on the power on the exit at turn number 10. There is a gravel trap there, but all of the drivers avoid that. And then you go through 12, 13, and 14. The front left tyre is screaming through this sequence of corners. It is just so much load on the front left, and it just causes loads of problems for the drivers. And that's the other thing, and it causes vibrations in their tyres, even if they haven't locked up. Piastri was encountering vibrations after 19 laps on the same set of tyres, which is... yeah, a bit concerning for the folks down at Pirelli. They do not want to see any tyre failures. Just imagine you're approaching turn number 12. You're going at 100 and I think it's 140, 150 miles per hour as you turn in, and you get a front left tyre failure. Like, you just go flying off into the barriers through no fault of your own because Pirelli's tyres were not built for this circuit. Yeah. It's not great. And then, of course, the final corner. We see a lot of drivers actually drift wide here because they compromise. They try to go too hard in for the entry, and then they compromise their exit. Oscar Piastri, however, has not done that. On not a single one of his qualifying laps has he messed up the final corner, which is pretty important, because if he gets a good exit out of the final corner, it's pretty much impossible to overtake him towards turn 1, as we saw in the sprint race. You know, Fernando Alonso made a big mistake out of turn 16. That's why Antonelli overtook him. Leclerc also had a big issue. That's why Behrman overtook him. So yeah, if you don't make a mistake out of the final corner, it makes it extremely tough to get an overtake in towards turn number 1. Unless, of course, your name is Max Verstappen and you've got a brand new engine in your car that you got in Brazil. And, well, you've got a few more horsepower than the rest of your competition. I don't think any teams will be signing you up as a test driver. Yeah, probably not. I would be... I was good back in the day. F1 2019 was my prime, but since then I'm very much washed. In F1 2019, I was like top 500 on the leaderboard on quite a few time trials, but since then it's been all downhill from there. F1 Gamer, why and how is Yuki the only driver that performed worse in the main qualifying compared to the sprint qualifying? It's essentially because all of the other drivers found more performance increases and Tsunoda didn't. That may be down to Red Bull going in the wrong direction with the setup, or it was just Tsunoda having a bad lap at the end of Q1. But yeah, all of the other teams, or well, the exception of maybe Ferrari, found a little bit more performance. You know, Fernando Alonso did a little bit worse, and I think the sort of outcome of that is that in sprint qualifying, Fernando Alonso had the pace because their setup was perfect, or it was close enough for Fernando Alonso to deal with, and all of the other teams didn't have their setup absolutely perfect. And after they did the sprint race, the teams figured out, oh, we need to change these 3 things, the setup will be good. And that's what Carlos Sainz did. He asked the team to go for an experimental setup that, you know, the team weren't really comfortable with going, but Sainz was like, trust me on this one, guys, I think this is going to work. And it did. Carlos Sainz improved, 7th position for him, and well, that's what the knowledge and the expertise of these experienced drivers bring to you. Of course, Fernando Alonso just had the great, amazing setup from the get-go, and that's what helped him out so much. Carlos Sainz took, you know, an extra sprint race to work that one out, but yeah, Yuki Tsunoda unable to find more performance in the car. And to be honest, you know, the difference between pole position and down in 20th wasn't all that big. It's a fraction of milliseconds that Tsunoda got knocked out by in Q1. So there you go. It's a bit difficult to work it out. Can you show us the pit stop strategies? Indeed, I shall, folks. Here we go. Where is it? The pit stop strategies are: start the race on the mediums, then go onto a second stint on the mediums, then finish the race off on the softs. That is the best way forward if you've got reasonably low tyre wear. And of course, the final stint on the soft tyres as well will be on super low fuel, so the drivers can attack. My strategy, so the F1 Gamer strategy, if you're starting in the midfield and want to make up a bunch of places via an undercut, would be strategy number 1, but reversed. So you start the race on the softs. Admittedly, you know, you've got all of that fuel, which is going to cause the tyre wear to be quite a bit. But, you know, you pit on lap number 7, then you do 25 laps on the first set of mediums, 25 laps on the second set of mediums, and then you'll complete 57 laps of racing. Yeah, that is essentially what I think would be a good idea if you're in the midfield, because you'll just be sat in dirty air. We saw this yesterday. Who was it? I think Behrman was causing a big DRS train. It was Behrman, then Leclerc and Lawson and a few other drivers in this big old DRS train. All of their tyres overheating because they're sat in each other's dirty air. And yeah, if you pit early, get out the dirty air in a bunch of clean air for yourself, it might work out. Okay, where do you find the strategies? I think Pirelli released them on their news website every sort of before the start of the race. Few other things to run through. We got a new, 8,000 people tuned into live stream. Thanks all for tuning in. Hope you guys are enjoying the coverage. We are 16 minutes away from the start of the race getting going very, very shortly for some racing here. Okay, yeah, Hamilton was. Well, Hamilton wasn't pleased at the end of the sprint. In fact, Pierre Gasly came over to him and said that your car looks terrible, and Hamilton agreed with him, which is not ideal for the Ferrari team. And it's just been Hamilton wants this season to finish, and to be honest, we're finishing in 7 days. I can't really imagine what's going on, but in 7 days' time, folks, the Formula One season is over. Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do over the weekends, but that is a bit of a concerning thought. Looking at this, we can see who's been doing the outstanding performances, who's been getting into Q3 the most. Of course, the McLarens have made it through into every single Q3. They've got a rocket ship for a car. Verstappen, George Russell, and Leclerc have made it through into every single Q3 bar one. And then looking further down the field, the big standout performance, of course, is Pierre Gasly with 10 Q3 appearances in the Alpine car. Ollie Behrman as well, six Q3 appearances for him, outdoing his teammate by 4 times. Ocon only made it into Q3 on 2 occasions, and Behrman has done it on 6 occasions. So nice job there from Ollie Behrman. Same thing could be said for Bortoleto, getting into Q3 more times than Hülkenberg. Bortoleto consistently has been a better qualifier than Hülkenberg, and the raw speed that he has shown in his rookie season, out-qualifying Nico Hülkenberg on multiple occasions, bodes very well for the future of his career. Okay, Russell might win the race. Norris wins the championship, just like Singapore and Las Vegas 2024. Who knows? We'll sort of see how it goes. It's I'll bring up the championship standings as when the time is right. In fact, let me bring them up right now. Where are they gone? There we go. Okay, so we'll have the championship standings up, and we'll see how it works out. Yeah, folks, if you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. It goes a long way to helping out the channel. If you haven't subscribed, be sure to do that. And we're not too far away from the start of the race. If you do have any predictions, then be sure to let me know. Why are the 2026 regulations looking bad? Apparently, it involves when the cars have been driven in the simulator, the drivers have been having to do a lot of energy management and battery management rather than, sort of flat out racing, which makes it, just sort of less appealing, isn't it? We may see some drivers just get overtaken because, one driver has to charge up their battery again and another driver's deploying their battery, whereas we'd much rather see drivers just overtake on pure pace. So that's what the drivers have been saying, at least, but every single driver and every single press conference that comes out from a Formula One team needs to be taken with a pinch of salt. The Mercedes team will say whatever about the 2026 regulations. For example, if the development isn't going well for the 2026 engines for Mercedes, then they'll come out in the press conference and say, the 2026 engines are stupid, we need to change the regulations, just to test the waters to see if the other teams are happy with changing the regulations as well. And if the other teams are doing well, then the other teams are going to say, no, we want to have the current regulations. And if the other teams are also having a difficult time developing the engines, then they might also agree and we want to change the regulations as well. But to be honest, take everything with a pinch of salt with regards to 2026. We'll see how it goes down in a few months' time. There's a few other things, on paper, of course, it looks good. We're going to have slightly lighter cars, slightly smaller cars, and yeah, there are a few steps in the right direction, a few steps backwards as well. We'll see how it turns out later on. Okay, what else have we got to look at? Yeah, Charles Leclerc just saying that he had to take a stupid amount of risk in every single corner in Q3 to try and get P8 or P9. And he said at the end, his final Q3 lap was a good lap, but the car just had nothing more to give. And essentially, as I was saying a little bit earlier on, the Ferrari really having issues with snap oversteer, snap understeer. And snap oversteer, sorry. And the way to sort of resolve the snap oversteer is to give the car a whole bunch of understeer, which just makes it a whole lot slower. A little bit of understeer is good, but a lot of understeer is bad. And the only sort of the simple fix to get rid of this snap oversteer problem that the Ferrari is experiencing is to just make the car understeer instead of oversteer. And I think that's what Ferrari did, and that has ruined their pace for the weekend. But to be honest, there's 7 days left. The mechanics will be very happy to put whatever setup they can for the car and just go home and rest for 2 months. It's been a very long year for them, and they've been, also this this weekend, if we look back 1 week, and the time zone in Las Vegas was -8 hours. Right now in Qatar, it's +3. There's an 11-hour time shift, and all of the mechanics and race engineers have had to adapt to an 11-hour time zone shift in the space of about 3 or 4 days. And also, that doesn't help with the tiredness and the difficulty of this ultra-long Formula One season. All right. Yeah, I'll run through the tyre options again. This is just a quick photo of how big some of the gravel, the pieces of gravel are in at the circuit. It has caused damage in the past. We've seen Verstappen get damage to his floor because he drove over the gravel. You can get damage on your tyres as well because the gravel can have quite the big impact. This is Max's view going in towards turn number 1. He says, it's more annoying for the people next to me because I have nothing to lose. And in essence, he's saying, I'm not in danger, I am the danger. And we'll see what Max does. This weekend so far has been absolute cinema for Oscar Piastri. He has come P1 in every single session, practice, qualifying, race, whatever it is, he's been P1, and it looks good so far. Quick reiteration in terms of the grip levels at the start of the race. The drivers starting on the softs will gain 4 meters compared to the drivers starting on the mediums, and they'll gain 8 meters to the drivers starting on the hards. Quite a big difference in grip levels, but also the difference between left side and right side of the track has around about an 8-meter difference as well. So, if you are starting in second position, you are starting 8 meters ahead of the driver in third, but then because you're on the dirty side of the grid, you also lose that 8 meters. So you're about level playing field in towards turn number 1. All right. Yeah, and that is the race strategy. According to Pirelli, medium, soft is what I am expecting, but if some drivers do the reverse, that will also be a reasonable strategy, I think. Yeah, we'll be getting the radios coming through. We've just got a radio check there from Lance Stroll. We're 8 minutes away from the start of the race. Thank you all for tuning in. If you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. And, we're about to have a great end of the season with this weekend in Qatar and next weekend, of course, in Abu Dhabi. What are your predictions in towards turn number 1? Adrian Newey's here at the circuit. In fact, there were quite a few images of him looking at the Mercedes car, looking at the McLaren car, and then looking at the Aston Martin as well, seeing what he can do to, understand what McLaren are doing with their aero concept design, and see if any of that knowledge can be implemented towards the car in 2026. Risk of rain is 0%. We are in a desert, of course. Clear skies, and track temperature is 28 degrees Celsius, air temperature 22 degrees Celsius. Not too hot for the drivers in terms of temperature. However, the humidity is 67% humidity, which is pretty high, and the G-forces through the corners is going to be brutal for the drivers, and this will be the toughest race weekend for the drivers in terms of physical strength. There is going to be huge amounts of sweating. They've only got 1 liter or 750 mils of water or electrolytes in their car to drink, and they'll be losing upwards of 3 kilograms via just sweating. It is going to be very, very intense. We'll see how the rookies cope. Of course, they've had the whole season to prepare, but Qatar is on a whole nother level compared to even Singapore, because pretty much every single corner you're at least pulling 3G going left or right, and in the braking zones you're pulling 4G into the brakes, forwards and backwards. It is especially tough. Right, let's switch over to over here. We've got the team radios coming through so you guys can read that. Yeah. Let's see, what else are we going on? Since it's hard to overtake here, would the pit stop play to help with undercuts and gain positions? Yes, that is why I think starting the race on the softs, getting as best as possible rate start as you can, trying to make some places up on lap number 1, and then pitting into clean air would be the way forward. Pit into clean air, do loads of lap times without any sort of concern of dirty air. That would be, I think, the ideal strategy. You can undercut loads of people because they're all sat in dirty air, conserving their tyres, worrying about overheating, while you've got a clean track ahead of you to push as hard as you want. So the other thing is it's a 26-second loss in pit stop time. So what that results in is yeah, you'll see probably the drivers in the middle of the grid. If they pit on lap 7, they'll be able to come out in a bunch of clean air. And maybe George Russell and Antonelli in 4th and 5th position. Also, if they pit, they might come out in clean air as well. And also the pit stop loss time. If it's a safety car, the drivers lose 16 seconds in the pit lane. So it's a 10-second time advantage that you gain by pitting under the safety car or a virtual safety car. So very, very helpful, of course. We'll see if the safety car does get deployed. 5 minutes and 23 seconds till we get underway for the formation lap, folks. What time is it now? It is race time, ladies and gentlemen. That is exactly what it is. Yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Hope you guys are enjoying the coverage as we now get underway towards the start of the race. Oh. Okay, here we go then, folks. Tyre information has just come through. Hard tyres for Alex Albon and Franco Colapinto, softs for Hamilton and Hülkenberg, and everyone else is starting the race on medium. So I have a feeling that Hülkenberg and Hamilton are going to be trying to pull off my strategy, the one that I came up with. We'll see if that works out for them. And everyone else is doing Pirelli recommended strategy. Start on the mediums, then onto the mediums again, and then maybe onto the softs towards the end of the race. Okay. Again, the other thing I'm going to quickly run through, where's the flying lap of the circuit? Here we go. Okay, so the thing that I wanted to mention is, as you go down the straight, the drivers with odd numbers are on the left-hand side of the grid. You can see here the left-hand side is way more rubbered in. It's a little bit darker, and that has got way more grip than the right-hand side. Alonso, I think, Russell and Toto Wolff were all saying that being on the wrong side of the grid is catastrophic, and it's really, really unfortunate for the drivers that are on the wrong side of the grid. So odd numbers means the drivers are on the clean side, even numbers means they're on the dirty side, and well, we'll see how that works for the race starts. Left-hand side of the grid for the odd numbers, right-hand side for the even numbers, but of course the even number drivers will be on the inside line in towards turn 1. There's 370 meters between the pole position slot where Oscar Piastri is and, of course, the braking zone down in towards turn number 1. And we'll see, well, who's latest on the brakes. And in those 370 meters, can someone slipstream past and make a overtake? Folks, the race this weekend is on ORF, so O for Oscar, R for race, F for Ferrari. If you Google that while connected to an Austrian VPN, you can watch the Formula 1 coverage. There's a link in the description to Surfshark VPN, and you'll be able to watch it that way. We've got 2,000 likes. Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. We are about to get underway for the penultimate race of the season. 3 minutes now, well, even 2 minutes and 30 seconds till the formation lap. Okie dokes, here we go. Yeah. Okay, that's set up. Fantastic. Just to confirm, I think Max is using his fresh engine that he got in Brazil, so a few extra kilometers per hour for him down the straights. And, well, Piastri and Norris, of course, running the same power units that they have been all season long. And further down the field, well, in fact, let's start from the bottom, we'll work our way upwards. So we've got Franco Colapinto starting from the pit lane after making some setup changes. He wasn't particularly happy with the car in quali, so more setup changes for Colapinto, and we'll see what he can do from the pit lane. Gabriel Bortoleto in 19th position, not an ideal qualifying for him. Just he couldn't really make it through, and a bit unfortunate for the Brazilian driver. Lance Stroll in 18th position, not ideal. He's 10 positions back from his teammates, but clearly didn't have the pace, and Alonso does. Is that really a surprise? Not so much. Hamilton in 17th position, not a fantastic weekend in any stretch of the imagination, not a fantastic season as well, but he's on the soft. He's going to probably pit on lap number 7 and then do 2 stints on the mediums to go to the end of the race. He'll be in the clean air. Maybe that'll help him out. Who knows how it works for the Ferrari team. Esteban Ocon in 16th position, getting out qualified by his rookie teammate yet again. We'll see what the Haas team can do in 2026 with that Ferrari power unit. Yuki Tsunoda in 15th position. The things have gone, he's had his highlight of the season, to be honest, the day before in sprint quali, where he outqualified Max Verstappen, and that was it. That was the top 10 moments, and that's the only moment, in fact, for Yuki Tsunoda for at his time at Red Bull, where he outqualified Max Verstappen, and apart from that, the season's been going pretty badly for him, and the rumours are that Tsunoda has lost his seat already. But I guess if he can help out Max Verstappen win the title, if he holds up Piastri and Norris, then maybe those things will change. Alex Albon starting the race on a set of hard tyres for the Williams team. He'll be going for the alternate strategy and trying to go as long as he can. Maybe a safety car helping him out with the pit stops as well, and we'll see how that works out for him. He, of course, did not pick an experimental setup and got eliminated by very fine margins at the end of Q2. Carlos Sainz did take an experimental setup, and, he performed quite well. The formation lap is underway, folks, and we've got the drivers making their way around, warming up their tyres, warming up the gearbox, clutch, all of the engine oils, and we'll be going racing very, very shortly. Then we have got now, where was I? I was talking about Alex Albon. Behrman in 13th position, nice quali from him, but couldn't make it into Q3. The Haas just not that quick this weekend. Liam Lawson getting out qualified by his teammate yet again. He's had a pretty good rookie season, but Hadjar's has just been so much better. Nico Hulkenberg in 11th place, nice job from him. Starting on the soft, I suspect he'll be doing a similar strategy to Lewis Hamilton, pitting on lap number 7. Then we have got Charles Leclerc on the medium tyres. We'll see how he performs, and the Ferrari said there's no more pace left in it, and don't expect much as a Ferrari fan. The Ferrari cycle is very much at its we are so over phase, or it's so over phase. Pierre Gasly has got into Q3 for the 10th time this season, and I don't know how he does it in the Alpine that is an absolute track to 22 points throughout the entire season, every single one of them scored by Pierre Gasly. He's done an incredible job, and hopefully next year with that Mercedes power unit in the Alpine team, things can turn around for him. Fernando Alonso in 8th position, great job from him. Not as good as sprint quali, but all of the other teams managed to find a bit more performance, and the Aston Martin didn't have much more to give. Carlos Sainz with an experimental setup with the Williams team. He said that he told the teams to trust him, and the team did trust him, and it worked out very, very nicely. 7th place for the Spaniard. Isaac Hadjar, great quali for him, best of the rest, 6th position in the Racing Bull, and the case looks stronger and stronger for Isaac Hadjar to be demoted from the Racing Bulls team up to Red Bull. George Russell, Kimi Antonelli, 4th and 5th position for them. Russell starting on the dirty side of the grid, Antonelli starting on the clean side. Max Verstappen in 3rd position. It's now or never for Max to win this world title. He's got to do something crazy's got to happen if Verstappen's going to win this one, because he is now 25 points back from Lando Norris in the world title. And Lando Norris is in 2nd place on the dirty side of the grid with Oscar Piastri in P1. Starting on the left-hand side, on the clean side of the grid, and what a domination we've had from him. Absolute cinema. P1 in every single session we've had this weekend, and, he'll be looking to do the same. He'll be even looking for a Grand Slam. Let me just put on slow mode. We've got 30,000 people tuned into live stream. Very much is appreciated, folks. Thank you all for tuning in, and we are about to go racing for the penultimate race of the season here in Qatar. Okay. Here we go. Boogity, 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 boys. Let's go racing. 57 laps, 2 pit stops, and, one very exciting championship that is about to be decided. Franco Colapinto pulls into the pit lane. We've got the final few drivers coming in towards the back of the grid, and here we go. Lewis Hamilton, Gabriel Bortoleto, Lance Stroll are approaching the grid. It is the medium tyres for the top 10. Then we've got Hulkenberg and Hamilton taking a risk on the softs, and Albon and Colapinto starting the race on the hards. But we've got the medical car approach the back of the grid. We have got the green flag waving at the back, and it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights, and it is lights out, and away we go. Good start for Piastri. He cuts across. Max Verstappen is side by side-by-side with Lando Norris immediately, and going in towards turn number 1, swoops round the outside of Norris. It's Oscar Piastri P1, Max Verstappen P2, Lando Norris P3, Antonelli stays in 4th position, Sainz gets ahead of George Russell after Russell was on the dirty side of the grid, Fernando Alonso up 1 position as well, Hamilton up 2 positions on those soft tyres, good start from him, and Piastri leads the way. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. Piastri has got the next 4 kilometers to break DRS and drive off into the sunset. Can he do it, or will Max Verstappen be able to stay within DRS range? Ocon gets an overtake done on Tsunoda, and we've got some more moves going down the inside there. It looks like Pierre Gasly has just got ahead of Charles Leclerc, just staying ahead of Charles Leclerc. But as the drivers go through turn number 10, Oscar Piastri 1.2 seconds ahead of Max Verstappen, purple sector 2 of course, as he makes his way through the middle, as he makes his way now through sector number 3, and Lando Norris is trying to stay within DRS range of Max Verstappen. Verstappen has nearly already lost, it's not nearly already lost it, he has already lost DRS to Oscar Piastri, and Piastri is doing the repeat of yesterday. He's doing exactly what he needs to do, no mistakes on lap number 1, and off into the distance he goes. Does Lando Norris get DRS? Is he close enough? It's 1.1 seconds is a gap already. Antonelli is putting pressure on Lando Norris. In fact, Norris, instead of looking forward, he's looking back in his mirrors. Antonelli is gaining. DRS has been enabled now. DRS has been enabled, and on the next occasion, as they pass through the DRS section point here, just through turn number 15, we'll see who gets DRS and who doesn't. Hülkenberg gets ahead of Charles Leclerc. The soft tyres working very nicely for Nico Hülkenberg, and the biggest gainers, Lewis Hamilton up 3 positions off the start of the race. Purple sector 1 for Piastri, 2/10 slower is Verstappen, 4/10 slower is Lando Norris, and Antonelli is putting a whole lot of pressure on the British driver who is leading the championship. Okay, well, here we go, folks. Here we go. Great start for Piastri, and it already looks like he is a league ahead of Max Verstappen. Within 1 lap, he has pulled out a 1.6 second gap. Through sector number 2, again, a 10th quicker. Norris gets the same second sector time as Max Verstappen, but here they are, approaching turn number 15. This is the critical corner. Will Antonelli get DRS on Norris, or will he not? Through the DRS detection point, Antonelli does get DRS on Lando Norris. 8/10 is the gap. They've both got the Mercedes power unit. Will Antonelli be able to get past as they head towards turn number 1? The braking zone is very, very small. It's only 40 to 50 meters of braking. Antonelli's got the flap open, and he's a little bit too far back to overtake Lando Norris on this occasion. We'll see what he can do on lap number 2. A few more drivers at the back, and we've got Pierre Gasly defending against Nico Hülkenberg, tooth and nail. Hülkenberg on the softs, so much more pace. There's something sparking away, I think, under Pierre Gasly's car. I don't know, is that... Yeah, are you guys seeing that as well? There's something going on underneath Pierre Gasly's car. Something is sparking away, and he's hanging on for dear life here. Nico Hülkenberg on the softs, practically pushing him through some of these corners. Further up the field, 1.7 seconds, 1.8 seconds. Antonelli is holding Norris very honest, though. And Russell, unfortunately, dropped down into 7th after losing 3 positions off the race start. All right. Here we go. Here comes Hülkenberg. Gasly's got damage. Yes, we can see you there over the radio. Hülkenberg's just been told Gasly has got damage. We got 40,000 people tuning into live stream. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Hope you're enjoying the coverage. Currently, we are 3 laps into the race. Piastri P1, Verstappen P2, Norris P3, and Antonelli is hot on Norris's heels. If Norris makes a mistake out of the final corner, it could spell very, very bad news for him, as Antonelli and Sainz are not too far behind. They come onto the main straight. Antonelli does get DRS on this occasion, but look at that. When the DRS flap opens, he is nearly 1 full second back. And going in towards turn number 1, he gains 3/10 for free, but 3/10 is not enough to send a dive bomb to the inside. Look at that purple final sector as well from Antonelli because of the toe. So Pierre Gasly has been noted for rejoining unsafely. So something's going on there with Pierre Gasly's car. He must have went off the circuit. When he came back, something damaged the bottom of his car, and that is why that's why the bottom of his car is sparking away. But still, he's managing to hold off Nico Hülkenberg, which is pretty solid there. from Pierre Gasly. The soft tyres will be starting to feel the pain. They're not very good for multiple laps in this race. I suspect Hamilton and Hülkenberg will be pitting on lap number 7. As soon as they can get off these soft tyres, they will be doing so because they are just not an optimal race tyre whatsoever. And if they come into the pits now, there is a 26-second loss in the pit lane. So if Hülkenberg pits, he's going to have 10 seconds of clean air ahead of him to just push. Oh no, sorry, not 10. He's going to have 20 seconds, correct, yes, 20 seconds of clean air ahead of him to push as hard as he wants, and that could be the undercut of dreams. Hamilton will also be on the same strategy, and that might just work out. 20 seconds of clean air is huge. Are you noticing that Lando doesn't get pace through turn 5 as the others? Yeah, I mean, it's the drive through turn number 5 gets heavily compromised because of the dirty air, and once the gap drops back from once the gap is bigger than 2 seconds, it's around about okay. But Antonelli pretty consistently faster in sector number 1, loses out in sector 2 because that's where the McLarens really do excel in the medium speed, long radius corners. But Antonelli is doing his best to stay within range of Lando Norris. And Nico Hülkenberg, I pushed one of the Ferraris off into the gravel trap. So a pretty bold move there from Nico when he overtook Charles Leclerc. Okay. I'm watching it, how to watch it with the VPN. The VPN, it's Surfshark VPN using the link in the description, folks. Go ahead and check it out. You go on to ORF and you can watch it there. Okay. All right. Let's go back to the stream. Okay. So that's a purple first sector for Oscar Piastri, now 2 seconds clear of Max Verstappen, and Antonelli has dropped out of DRS range. George Russell is the only driver with DRS in the top 8, and Hülkenberg is doing his best now to get ahead of Gasly, but he just really can't. We're on lap number 6 of the race, and on the following lap, I suspect the soft tyre runners will be coming into the pits. Max Verstappen, fastest lap of the race. He is only half a tenth quicker than Piastri on that previous lap, but regardless, it is the fastest lap of the race. Shows Verstappen has got a bit of pace, but of course, that is when he is 2 seconds back from Piastri and he's not sat in the dirty air. Gasly got a black and white flag for rejoining unsafely, so not ideal there. Also, Tsunoda's already got a lap time deleted for exceeding track limits at turn 10. Has he not learned his lesson? He did it 4 times in a row in the sprint race, got a 5-second time penalty, and he's now done it again. He did that on lap number 2. Since then, it doesn't look like he's done it, but Tsunoda going into turn 10 has exceeded track limits at least 1 time. I don't know what he's doing, to be honest. All right. Piastri is doing exactly what he needs to do to keep his championship hopes alive. Currently, Piastri, 25 points to his name, 18 points to Max Verstappen, 15 to Lando Norris. So the 22-point gap goes from 22 to 12 if the positions stay the way that they are. But of course, we have got 2 pit stops for each of the teams to do. That is 4 potential pit stops for the McLaren crew to mess up. They haven't messed up that many as of late, but, you can't really rely on them. Their track record this season hasn't been amazing. Esteban Ocon has been noted for a false start moving before the signal. That's probably going to be a 5-second time penalty for Esteban Ocon. It fits the meme quite nicely. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We've got 40,000 people tuned into the stream. If you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. Okay. Here we go then. Purple final sector there for Lando Norris, and Nico Hülkenberg into the pits as expected. And there's a yellow flag. Wait, yellow flag? That's Hülkenberg stopped. Hülkenberg has gone off into the puncture for Hülkenberg. What? That's a wait. Let me rewind. What's going on? That's a safety car coming out, folks. Hamilton is going to get a free pit stop. Loads of drivers are going to come into the pits. But Hülkenberg beached in the gravel. Has he just got a tyre failure immediately? Gasly's car there's another puncture. What is going on? Is that Colapinto or is that Gasly? I don't know. But one of the Alpines has got damage to one of their tyres. The Pirelli tyres are failing here in Qatar. And Hülkenberg, did he come into the pits? No, Hülkenberg didn't come into the pits. After 6 laps, the Pirelli soft tyres failed. I thought he came into the pit lane. Safety car has been deployed, and Pirelli's worst nightmare has just come through. And 6 laps of racing, and he's got a flat. We've got one of the Red Bulls into the pits. Verstappen's into the pit lane. Piastri stays out. What do they do for Lando Norris? Verstappen's into the pits. This may make or break the championship. Verstappen's into the pit lane. So is Antonelli. And we've got a few more drivers coming in as well. Folks, you gain 10 seconds for free if you come into the pit lane right now. 10 seconds for free. Because it's normally you lose 26 seconds if you come into the pit lane. And if you come into the pit lane under safety car or virtual safety car conditions, you only lose 16 seconds. So pretty much every single driver, apart from Piastri, Norris, and Ocon, have come into the pits. What have McLaren done? I have no idea if this was the right call. Actually, it probably was the wrong call for Norris and Piastri to stay out. But why have they done that? What? Because you're getting a free pit stop. It's 10 seconds for free to get in the pit lane. Like, it's fresh tyres for Max Verstappen, fresh set of medium tyres. So he'll be doing 25 laps on these, and then on lap 32, lap 32, he'll be coming into the pits again for a set of hards to go to the end of the race. That will be the strategy. I don't know what is going on there. Like, I mean, Hannah Schmidt has done a very good, got very quick. It's just like immediately they had a tiny little margin. They said yes. And if Verstappen came into the pits, it's not like, maybe Piastri was already ahead of the safety car line, or like the pit entry when the safety car got deployed. I don't think that was the case. But even then, you could give benefit of the doubt to Piastri. But if Norris was behind Verstappen, he should have come into the pit lane. No questions asked. Just to confirm, Ocon does get a 5-second time penalty for jump starting the race, and Piastri. Oh, okay. So this is what happened. Sorry, not Piastri. Gasly has contact with Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg goes off into the gravel, gets a puncture from just driving over the gravel trap. That's how borderline it was. And Gasly, for the contact, got a puncture. So it wasn't the Pirelli tyres failing, by the drivers just driving themselves, but it was a failure because the tiniest amount of contact. It was a very, very small wheel bang, but Piastri's front left failed and Hulkenberg's rear right failed at the same time. That is very, very sketchy, to be honest. Imagine Ocon's come into the pits and still Piastri and Norris continue. So Ocon, who didn't come into the pit lane because I suspect Behrman and Ocon were too close onto the track for them to double stack them into the thing. They pit Ocon on the next lap to still get their pit stops done. But now, the thing is now, if Piastri and Norris come into the pits, they go dead last. So they have cooked it. Everyone is going to pit on lap number 32. That is correct, folks. Pretty much everyone is going to pit lap 31 or 32, which makes it a little bit boring in a way, because we know that there are 25 laps on this set of tyres, 25 laps on their second set of tyres, or their third set of tyres, shall we put it. But what are McLaren doing? They have thrown this... They genuinely have... let's not speak too early, but... they have thrown away a free 10 seconds that they could have gained via coming into the pits. Is that correct? I mean, if I'm missing something, then do let me know. But you lose 26 seconds if you pit under green flag conditions. You lose only 16 if you pit under the safety car. Okay, wait, let me put a poll out. Did McLaren screw up? McLaren... Screw up, ? Screw up. Okay, well, safety car's out, and they're going to pick up Nico Hulkenberg's car pretty soon, and then we should be going racing in the next couple of laps. Track has been declared clear, so where Nico Hulkenberg's car was, that is, their car is no longer there. The tractor that was picking it up has now moved off the circuit, so the track has been declared clear, so I suspect next lap we will probably have the safety car coming in. Not on this lap, next lap, so lap number 10. Okay, 78% of people think that McLaren have screwed up. Okay, well, maybe, to be fair, if there's another safety car, McLaren will get away with it. But again, what are the chances of that? Who knows? Lando, so basically everyone else will be pitting lap 32 that we know of. Yeah, they've come over the radio to Lando to say that, so pretty much everyone is pitting on lap number 2. Pitting on lap number 2, pitting on lap number 32, and they'll have 2 pit stops remaining. McLaren, look, all of these other drivers have got 1 pit stop remaining. Both of the McLaren drivers have got 2 pit stops remaining. Like, how does that make any sense? They're going to have to gain 26 seconds via, like, pushing and all of this. Unless McLaren have some super secret plan, trademark, I can't see how they'd benefit from taking a full pit stop over a safety car pit stop. Yeah, it doesn't, like... Let's say it's green flags right till the end of the race, right? Okay. So in the pit stops, all of the drivers from 3rd position down into 19th are going to lose 26 seconds by coming into the pits and doing 1 more pit stop. The McLaren team are going to lose 52 seconds by coming into the pit lane twice. Like, okay, well, we'll see. This is good for the championship, folks. This is good for the championship. It will bring Max it closer. I don't know how much it'll help Oscar Piastri, but let's see. All right, we got 44,000 people tuned into the live stream. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We've only got 4,000 likes though, so if you guys haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. Very much does help out the channel. I'll be streaming in Abu Dhabi, and it looks like we are going to have a title decider. In fact, I've got my suit ready. In fact, let me show you my suit. While we're under the safety car. In fact, safety car is in this lap, folks. Oh, you can see there. Maybe you can see it. Look, I have a very, very fancy suit ready for Abu Dhabi. This is I'll be wearing this to my own wedding, but a title fight in Abu Dhabi, I'm wearing this suit. So, anyway, safety car is in this lap, ladies and gentlemen. You can see the safety car is making its way towards the pit lane. Oscar Piastri is backing everyone up. Let's go. Let's go racing, ladies and gentlemen. It's fresh tyres for Max Verstappen. That's going to give him a 7-lap tyre advantage over the McLarens. We know how quickly the tyres wear out around here. And, we're about to go underway for some racing. Boogity, boogity, boys. Let's go. Track is clear, safety cars into the pits. Oscar Piastri has put his foot flat to the floor, and they make their way down the start-finish straight. Sensational speeds reaching up to 330 kilometers per hour down the start-finish straight, and Piastri has got a comfortable lead going in towards turn number 1. We have got Lando Norris in 2nd position, Max Verstappen right behind him, and this is it again. 5.4 kilometers to break DRS. DRS will be getting enabled very, very soon. This is it, folks. Okay. Lap 11 of 57 of this race. Everyone is on medium tyres apart from Pierre Gasly, who's on a set of hards. Purple first sector for Piastri. Oh my god, we've barely got into sector 2 and Piastri's already broken the DRS window and Norris has already broken the DRS. This is mental. Sainz is in P3. Great job from Carlos Sainz. Yeah. Did McLaren forget about the 25-lap rule? I don't know what McLaren were doing, really. We'll probably get some sort of statement from them. Piastri fastest in sector number 2. I mean, this guy's clearly charged up his battery, and he's just like, maximum attack. And to be fair, he's got to go maximum attack. Lando Norris is staying very, very close to him now, and Norris is, in fact, very close to getting that DRS range. DRS not yet enabled. It'll get enabled on the following lap, but... well, it's fair reason for Piastri to be pushing in Sector 1 and 2 because Norris 1.2 seconds behind. The reason we had a safety car was Gasly and Hülkenberg had contact, and that tiny little contact caused Hülkenberg to get a puncture and Piastri to get a puncture. There is gravel on the circuit, folks. Oh my god, gravel on the circuit going through turn number 2. They didn't clear up that much gravel, and it looks like... it's a potential puncture risk. Let's just put it that way. With the way that we've seen how fragile these tyres are, I can't say for certain that the drivers will get a puncture, but it certainly increases the chances. So I would say thank you, Pierre Gasly and Nico Hülkenberg, for making this race a little bit more exciting by introducing gravel onto the circuit. DRS has been enabled, but... Look at that gap, 1.4 seconds for Piastri against Norris. In the first sector, Piastri again a tenth quicker. We'll see what he can do through sector number 2. Lando Norris, lap time deleted for exceeding track limits at turn number 10. So the previous lap, when he was pushing super hard to stay with Piastri, he exceeded track limits. That is the first track limit deletion for Lando Norris. Okay, we have got, here we go then. 1.5 seconds is the gap. No DRS for Lando Norris. Verstappen is 3 seconds back. Oh my God. Yeah, the Red Bull not so quick this weekend. Especially, I don't know what it is specifically. Verstappen was complaining about bouncing. Verstappen cannot extract the pace. Maybe it's a skill issue. Probably a little bit more likely it's a car issue. And he is ahead of Carlos Sainz. Broken the DRS to him. However, he is 3 seconds back. We've had 2 laps under the safety car. 2 laps after the safety car has just come in. And Max is already 3 seconds down. Verstappen genuinely said after a press conference, he said, I'm going to need to cut 1 corner per lap to keep up with Oscar Piastri. That is how far behind they are. And, But does it really matter? Because both McLarens have got to do 26 seconds more in the pit lane compared to Max Verstappen. What does lap deleted mean? That means they went wide on the circuit. There's a painted white line. You're not meant to go to the wrong side of the painted white line. Lando Norris did so, and as a reason, he got a lap time deleted. If he does that 3 more times, he will get a 5-second time penalty. No, I said it will not. Most likely, it's not a skill issue for Max Verstappen. More likely, it's a car issue. Maybe I misspoke, but yeah, it's more likely a car thing because, Max's track record this season has been pretty incredible. Okay, we're on lap number 13 of 57, and even with Max having 7-lap fresher tyres as well compared to Lando Norris, still unable to keep up, and now he's 4 seconds back. Okay, purple final sector there for Oscar Piastri. He's not even got DRS on anyone, and he's gone purple in the final sector. Piastri is a rocket ship. Okay. I believe in Sainz. Yeah, Sainz potentially looking good for a podium here. If something was to go wrong, for example, like the McLarens having to come in for an extra pit stop, then in theory, they would come out. Wait, the gap has just gone up to... The gaps, I misread, but essentially, if the McLarens have to do their extra pit stop, which they do, so it's not really an if, but right now, the net positions would be Sainz is on a podium. Okay. Here we go then. Folks, have you got any of your votes for driver of the day? I mean, Bortoletto's up 3 positions, Hamilton's up 3. Any sort of predictions for who is your driver of the day? What does green outline on the gap means? Green outline on the gap means that they are apparently gaining, but to be honest, this isn't the most reliable thing in the world. This, of course, means they're within the DRS range, and we've got a nice we've got a Fernando Alonso DRS train. Choo choo. It's not. To be honest, we've had this all season long. Alonso's great at building this DRS train. So very nice. But yeah, it's meant to be that the driver's gaining, but Norris is in fact losing time to Piastri, so I don't really know. Nico Hülkenberg driver of the day? Yeah, maybe. For bringing that gravel out onto the circuit and causing the McLarens to screw up their strategy. All right. So, Piastri slows through the speed traps. That's, of course, because he hasn't had a slipstream off anyone. No DRS as well to increase his top speed. Yuki Tsunoda quickly through the speed traps. 341 kilometers per hour. The Ferraris, 335 for them. Looking good. And, Colapinto's dropped off the back of the DRS train. It has been cut from 6th position all the way down to 19th. It's now only 6th to 16th. In fact, the whole DRS train is an Aston Martin sandwich. Alonso's at the top and Stroll is at the back. Do McLarens have to do 3 pit stops due to 25-lap rule? No, they only have to do 2. So they'll pit on lap 25 or somewhere around there. And also, folks, they are going to lose... Wait. Oh, McLaren have really messed this one up. Okay. If they lose 26 seconds in the pit lane, as is expected, Oscar Piastri, if he comes out 26 seconds behind where he currently is, he comes out only 3 seconds back from Pierre Gasly. If Norris comes out, he'll be also like 2 seconds back from... He'll be like 5 seconds back from Pierre Gasly, but they're not even going to have clean air, and they're going to be stuck in a whole bunch of traffic while Max Verstappen is sat in clean air. Like, what? What? Yeah, this is maybe the biggest blunder of blunders that McLaren have made. Of course, this happens, in a high-pressure environment. You look at the Red Bull team, they've experienced 2021, the incredible pressures of going toe-to-toe in a championship battle right at the end, and all of the mechanics, the engineers, have at least experienced that level of pressure, whereas McLaren, have they really experienced anything like this? The engineers, they've had this huge time zone shift, 11 hours compared from Las Vegas time zone to the Qatar time zone. They're not really doing well on sleep. They've never experienced this incredible amount of pressure before, and well, clearly I guess the mistakes are showing. Okay, I mean the tire rule is stupid. I mean it's stupid until you get a tire failure, and then you see some driver go off into the barriers at 200 miles an hour. So so Pirelli have put that in for a reason. In my personal opinion, they should have just made some better tires for Qatar specifically, because it is such a high speed, high downforce track. But Pirelli don't have the R&D budget. Well, they just decided that they don't have the R&D budget to do so. They probably could have done it if they wanted to. Yeah. Thanks everyone for tuning in. By the way, we have got 47,000 people tuned into the live stream. Very much is appreciated. If you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. And also, we're getting, we're 500, 400 subscribers away from our subscriber target. Very much is appreciated. The race, by the looks of it, is going down to the championship is going right down to the wire in Abu Dhabi. What makes a track have more downforce? Not the track specifically, but the cars will have more downforce because all of these corners are high speed, and at a high speed, when you're going through a high speed corner, your downforce levels are the most important thing. If you're going down the straights, of course, your engine is much more important, but here in Qatar, we've got mainly high speed corners. What is the tire limit? So anyone that hasn't been keeping up to date with what's been going on in Formula One, because this is such a high-speed track, the drivers are experiencing 4 and 5G going through every single corner. The tires wear out exceedingly quickly here in Qatar, and for that reason, Pirelli have said you can do a maximum of 25 laps on one set of tires. After that, you have to come into the pits, otherwise you'll be disqualified for breaking the rules. And yeah, Piastri and Norris are going to have to do that. So in 9 laps time, or within the next 9 laps, they'll be coming into the pits. McLaren strategists thinking they did a 500 IQ play. Yeah, it's... I don't think it's a 500 IQ play. What happened to Nico? He had contact with Gasly, and it resulted in him DNFing. Okay, they're coming over the radios to Oscar and stuff and things like that to... Oscar comes over the radio saying the front left is a little bit dead, but pretty consistent. So essentially they're telling him, places where he can help improve his tyre wear and not have too many problems. And you can see now the McLarens are starting to feel the pain. Max Verstappen sets a personal best lap time, and he goes 0.3 quicker than Norris on the previous lap. And Norris's tyres are 7 laps older than Verstappen's, and they're starting to reach the end of their life and they're starting to get older and older. Okay, and now if the McLarens come into the pits, okay, look, if Piastri comes into the pits now, he comes out in traffic. He comes out stuck between Bortoleto and Stroll. We know how difficult overtaking is here, and Norris is going to come out. Where is he going to come out? He's going to come out behind Ocon and Gasly. That is where they're going to come out if they come into the pits. Immediately, they've still got 8 more laps, but with the way things are going, Alonso's slowing everyone down and bringing the McLarens further and further into this big old DRS trade. And Alonso, in a way, I think, is helping Verstappen for the title. Of course, maybe not on purpose, but, Alonso's doing his race. He doesn't want anyone to overtake him. And by sort of the virtue of circumstances, it's making it even worse for McLaren. Yeah, Alonso, of course, has got a little bit of a vendetta with McLaren. It's not been his favourite team, of course, when he was back there racing in 2000 and 2008, 2007. All right. We've got collision between, I think it was, yellow flag infringement between Bortoleto and Stroll. No further investigation there. I'll keep you up to date on, Tsunoda's exceeded track limits again. Oh my God, Tsunoda, what are you doing, man? So this is second track limits extension now for Yuki Tsunoda. He had 4 in the sprint race. We're now on lap number 19, so he's halved it. We had 19 laps in the sprint, and he exceeded it 4 times. Now he's only done it twice, but 2 more times, and Tsunoda will get a 5-second time penalty. All right. Max Verstappen now matching Oscar Piastri's lap time, still going quicker than Lando Norris. Top 3 remain as they were off the start of the race. All aboard the Alonso train, indeed, all aboard the Alonso train. Piastri going purple again in the final sector. That quickly gets taken away by Lando Norris. Norris still got some more pace to give in sector number 3. But we are approaching lap number 20, and the McLarens are going to have to come into the pit sooner rather than later. If Max wins this time, 5 memberships. Thanks for that donation there, Reset. And also, big thanks to all of the channel members. We've got now over 140 channel members, so really do appreciate everyone that has become a channel member and is helping out the channel. Goes a long way for me to, get this lighting, this webcam, this mic, these 2 laptops and everything to be able to stream. Really does help out. Okay. Max will have to pit again, correct. Yes. So you can see here that everyone is going to have to do 1 more pit stop at least, including Ocon. Ocon has done 2 pit stops. However, he's not going to be able to make it to the end of the race on this set of tyres because there's a 25 lap limit, and hence he will have to come into the pits again. Everyone's going to have to do at least 1 more pit stop. However, Piastri and Norris are going to have to do 2 more. McLaren on the race tried to come out ahead of Alonso. I don't know. I don't know about that one. I guess, that could work actually. If Alonso slows down the field so that much more, then Piastri could come out ahead. So let's have a look. If Piastri pits right now, instead of being stuck behind, Bortoleto and Stroll, he's now going to be behind Behrman and Lawson. So this could be good news here for Piastri. But Norris, if he pits, he's now where he'll come out between Albon and Hamilton. So it's looking good for Piastri because he's got a 3.5 second window. So Alonso's slowing everyone right down, and in the next 4 laps, Piastri has got to gain 3 seconds on Fernando Alonso, and he'll come out ahead of him in clean air, and Piastri's race will be saved. Norris, however, is going to have to gain 7 seconds in the space of 4 laps. If he can't do that, he comes out in traffic paradise, folks. Traffic paradise of Alonso, Hadjar, Russell, Leclerc, Behrman. So it is possible and very much likely for Oscar Piastri to pull this one out. In fact, let's compare previous lap times. Piastri goes a 10.5 quicker than Alonso on the previous lap. But yes, it's not looking good for Norris. What is McLaren even planning? This is absurd. And even if they do this, right, even if Piastri comes out ahead, then he will still be in a net P4, I think. Yeah, net P4. He'll be behind Verstappen, Sainz, and Antonelli. Piastri's going to push. He's got to push, but his tyres are 21 laps old. He came over the radio a couple of laps ago to say his tyres are old and they feel dead. He's just been told over the radio not to push on the entries because it could result in, him losing lap time. It also could result in a failure. If he's bouncing over those curbs that are pretty big and violent, then who knows? But this is the key gap that you have to look at, folks. Fernando Alonso to Oscar Piastri, it is 24 seconds right now. So Piastri needs, it's nearly 25 seconds. So Piastri needs 1 more second of lap time, which he can get in the next few laps. Lando Norris, however, that you need to do some maths here, but essentially the gap between Alonso and Norris, if you take away the 2 numbers, that has got to be 26. And right now it is 22. Alonso driver of the day. Yeah, Alonso's been backing everyone up, and quite quite a good defensive job from him. Isaac Hadjar must have that Aston Martin rear wing imprinted into his eyeballs at this point. He's been stuck behind Alonso for that long. Okay. Also, the pit lane is going to be absolute chaos. On lap 32, folks, it is going to be mental. Pretty much everyone, with the exception of Piastri and Norris, are going to be coming into the pits. Like, it is going to be berserk in the pit lane. Yeah. All right, so here we go, lap number 23 of 57. The McLarens have got to come into the pits very, very soon. Norris comes over the radio, says he's struggling. Well, Norris, now is not the time to struggle. Otherwise, well, you risk getting stuck in traffic paradise. Yeah, they'll have to pit in the next lap or two. Like, it's... Okay, they'll say, we'll come down one. So I think they're changing the front wing angle on Lando Norris's car because he's having a bit of... Oh, Albon. Albon has got a black and white flag. He's exceeded track limits 3 times now. So one more time that he exceeds track limits, and he will get a 5-second time penalty. Alonso's pushing, really. Alonso's setting personal best lap times here. And to be honest, Alonso's got a bunch of clean air. He's been managing his tyres, and Hadjar behind him. I don't know how Hadjar's been able to stick in Alonso's DRS, because he has been sat in dirty air for the best part of 15 laps now. And Alonso has got clean air for 15 laps, but still Hadjar's able to keep up. Yeah. Okay, folks, this is it. The critical gap. You can see Piastri is 27 seconds ahead of Fernando Alonso right now. He will be coming in onto the next lap, and they're going to double stack the McLarens, which could result in even further mess ups for the pit stop for Lando Norris. So the McLaren crew are going to have to be careful here. We're on lap number 24 of 57, and they can do a maximum of 25 laps on a single set of tyres. Wait, is Verstappen not going to be effective first? He is going to be effective first position, because once the McLarens come into the pits, all remaining drivers will have one pit stop left. What did Max do? Max did nothing. McLaren is the one that messed up. Carlos Sainz will be on for a net podium. Like, it will be on for a second position. That would be monumental for the Williams team, and I would love to see it. Box over the radio to Oscar Piastri, and the gap is 27.5. So as long as McLaren do not mess up this pit stop, Piastri comes out ahead of Fernando Alonso. The timing has got to be good, and the high pressure stakes now for the McLaren team. Piastri comes out of the final corner, dives in towards the pit lane entry, super late on the brakes, and Lando Norris continues on for one more lap, I think. Or is Lando Norris following him in? Yeah, Lando Norris continues on. Norris pitting on the next lap. McLaren don't want to take the risk with the double stack, so Piastri comes in one lap early. And quick pit stop for him, and that is, 3.1 seconds for Oscar Piastri. And here he is coming down the pit lane. Sainz and Antonelli blow past him. That'll be a net P4 for Oscar Piastri, and Fernando Alonso is coming down the straight. It should be enough for Piastri as he comes out, and he is comfortably ahead of the Spaniard. Okay, Lando Norris, however, he is going to come out. If he pits on the next lap, which he has to pit on the next lap, by the way, he's going to come out behind Alonso, I think near Hadjar and Russell, unless something crazy happens right now. Thanks, Steele, for the donation. I'm so frustrated for McLaren. Stop throwing. Yeah, I mean, McLaren have had this world title in their hands, and genuinely, they are throwing more than a world champion Olympic javelin thrower. Like, they are throwing more than a javelin thrower. I mean, that's quite a weird analogy, but anyway, like, McLaren are throwing in a very crazy way. I don't know how they've done this. Okay, so here comes Lando Norris. Yeah, I'm going to have a quick sip of water because my throat is really starting here. We've got 52,000 people tuned in. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Very much is appreciated, and hope you're enjoying the coverage here of McLaren screwing up the quite possibly the easiest strategy in the world. Okay, 2.2 second pit stop for Lando Norris. That helps out a little bit, but
He's coming down the straight. He's coming through the pit lane now. And where is Fernando Alonso? Does he make it out ahead of Alonso? Piastri, it's close. It's going to be borderline here. And Alonso's coming down the straight. And the quick pit stop has done it. If it was... Alonso's trying to go around the outside. Norris's tyres are not warm. And by 1 car length, Lando Norris makes it through. The pit stop crew have done a monumental save. And a 2.2 second pit stop has just saved Lando Norris from being stuck behind Fernando Alonso. Wow. That was... that they have just saved Lando Norris by the craziest margins. If that pit stop was 1/10 slower, Alonso would have been around the outside and Norris would have been stuck in a DRS train for the rest of the race. So Norris just makes it through. That in-lap was mega, and Alonso's lap on that occasion wasn't all that quick. So that combination, quick pit stop, quick in-lap, and a slow lap for Fernando Alonso, put it all together. And with speeding in the pit lane. Okay, no, that was Stroll speeding in the pit lane. For a second there, I was like, Norris has just been noted for speeding in the pit lane, but that is incorrect. That was Stroll has been noted for speeding in the pit lane. Thanks, Jedi5, for the donation. McLaren World Drivers' Championship. Why, thank you. We'll just pop it in here. Pop a silver platter to Max Verstappen, yeah. Oscar Piastri, fastest lap of the race. And now, the question is, will Piastri be able to overtake Kimi Antonelli and get up onto the podium? I don't know. The other thing that McLaren are going to try and do now is, of course, they're going to go on these medium tyres to lap number 50, and they're going to put on the softs right at the end of the race to try and make some overtakes. We don't know if it will work, but we'll see. We'll see what happens, but it might work, it might not. It's going to be pretty borderline here. Actually, McLaren, Stroll has been given a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. I'll let you know if any more penalties come through. But right now, McLaren are 18 seconds behind Max Verstappen. And, we'll see how much lap time they'll gain. Of course, there's always the risk that Max Verstappen gets held in the pit lane. If he comes into the pits now, Sainz, Antonelli, Alonso, all of the drivers behind him will also be coming into the pits around about lap number 32, and they'll be going to the end of the race, and they have to pit lap number 32 because that's how borderline it is, the 25 lap rule. They can't pit any earlier because then they'd have to do 26 laps to go to the end of the race. All right. Does Max need to change his tyres a lap 25 tyre or not? He does. A lap number once he's done 25 laps on those tyres, he has to come into the pits. And yeah, as you can see right now, he has done 20 laps on those tyres. On that previous lap, Oscar Piastri goes 4/10 quicker than his teammates, 7/10 quicker than Max Verstappen. So really, really good pace there from Piastri, but McLaren may have put them at a disadvantage. Okay. The other thing is actually, this might still work out for the McLarens because they're still such a rocket ship. So both teams have done 2 pit stops. McLaren, all of the other teams did it under the safety car. McLaren did it, both in green flag conditions. So there's a 10-second pit stop delta between pitting in the safety car, not pitting in the safety car, and the McLarens are more than 10 seconds faster than every other car on the field. Like Piastri won by 5 or 6 seconds just in the sprint race alone. So even though McLaren may have screwed up the strategy just because their car is an absolute rocket ship, they might just get away with it. Who knows? What happened to Hülkenberg? Hülkenberg got crashed into by Gasly, a little bit of contact, off into the gravel, puncture for him, puncture for Gasly, and that was the end of that. Alonso's really hurting Haas right now. He's playing the long game, but Alonso is just holding everyone up. Well, he was holding everyone up in a DRS train. Now everyone's decided, oh no, my tyres are too cooked. I've got to back off. And Alonso's done exactly what he needed to do to help out Aston Martin, score some more points, get ahead in the Constructors' title. All right, we've got 23,000 people tuned into live stream. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I hope you're enjoying the coverage. Be sure to smash that like button. And we've hit the halfway point of this race, folks. Lap number 29. We've got 29 laps remaining, 29 laps completed. And we are, 150 subscribers, 120 subscribers away from our subscriber target. So very much would be appreciated if you guys haven't hit the subscribe button. I'll be commentating for Abu Dhabi. And with the way things are going, it might be a three-way fight. Let's see. Did I say we had 23,000 people watching? We have 54,000 people watching. Yeah, we might also be the biggest live stream on YouTube. Let me just check. Yes, I think by the looks of it, we are the biggest live stream on YouTube, folks. So, big dub. Thank you all for tuning in. Actually, we might try for another lap. For another record here. So the previous record was gaining 2,000 subscribers in the space of, I think it was 30 seconds. We gained 1.5. So if we could gain 2,000 subscribers in the space of 30 seconds, that would be pretty mega. Oh, Piastri's got DRS here on Kimi Antonelli. Tries to go around the outside. He does so. What a move from Oscar Piastri. Antonelli having absolutely, no pace whatsoever to defend, because look at the tyre difference. 17 laps is the tyre difference between Piastri and Antonelli. And Antonelli just, says Antonelli cannot do anything. Piastri, great overtake. Now the question is, can Norris do the same? Brilliant job from Piastri. And even though McLaren may have had a strategic blunder, things are looking good for Oscar Piastri. He's making some progress back up the field. We'll see what Antonelli can do and if he can hold up Lando Norris. But folks, to try for the world record again, we want 2,000 subscribers gained in the next 30 seconds. So what I'm going to say is, if you haven't subscribed, when Oscar Piastri comes across the line, comes across the checkered flag that you can see just above my webcam, if you haven't subscribed, be sure to hit the subscribe button. We'll see how many subscribers we can gain in 30 seconds. Yeah, right now we've got the biggest live stream on YouTube, so we've probably got the best shot of doing it. But anyway, the rest of you here are for the Formula 1 coverage, so let's stick with that. Lap number 32 is approaching. We're about to have absolutely huge pandemonium go down in the pit lane. Biblical scenes, to be frankly honest with you guys. Everyone is going to be coming into the pits, and, it's going to go mental. Yeah, Piastri's come across the line, folks. So if you haven't hit the subscribe button, be sure to do so. I mean, the subscriber number is going up at a rapid rate. You woke up to the Piastri overtake. Yeah, I did a little bit late. Here comes Lando Norris. He's now got DRS on Antonelli. Let's see what he can do. He's within 9/10. Antonelli was trying to overtake Norris with DRS. Antonelli couldn't pull it off, but look at the tyre difference. It is 17 laps. Antonelli will be coming into the pits soon, but regardless, he is holding up Lando Norris ever so slightly as they go through sector number 1. And there we go. We've gained nearly 1,000 subscribers, I think. Nearly 1,000 subscribers within the span of 30 seconds. So pretty good, folks. Thank you all for subscribing. Not that close to the goal, but regardless, 1,000 subscribers in 30 seconds. It took me a year to get 1,000 subscribers when I started out the channel, so really is appreciated. Back to the coverage though. Lap number 32 has arrived. Max Verstappen has just started lap number 32, and he's going to be coming into the pits on the end of this lap or on one more lap when one more lap remains. Okay. Gap between Verstappen and Piastri is currently 18 seconds. So when Verstappen comes into the pits, he is going to come out between Norris and Alonso. So Norris he'll be clear. But the thing is, everyone's coming into the pits on the same lap. So that means that, it doesn't really matter. We'll see the order at the end of the pit stop window. Gabriel Bortoleto has just been told the highest speed for 2 laps, top 5. So he's just been told to go full send, see if he can pull anything off, because Hamilton is stuck behind Alex Albon. Also, the Ferraris, 9th and 14th position. At least this weekend, at least right now, the Scuderia Ferrari is the highest position Ferrari-powered car. It's not the Haas or it's not the Sauber. But 9th position is the quickest Ferrari-powered car. What happened to Russell? He came from P4 to P8. Russell was on the dirty side of the grid at the start of the race, which really compromised him. And then I think in the pit stops, everyone came into the pits at the same time, and then George Russell got held a little bit because, you can't just drive out into the pit lane when you've got another person coming out. So that's what happened to George Russell. Bad race start, and then, bad, unfortunate timing in the pit lane. Okay, Max Verstappen, first driver's coming into the pit, and set of hard tyres for him. This is going to the end of the race. As you can see, folks, there are 25 laps remaining of this race, so Max Verstappen can go right to the end on this set of tyres. Okay, here we go, 56,000 people tuning in. Oh, this is mega. Okay, Norris, here we go. Everyone's coming into the pits. Now Sainz, now Antonelli, and the pit lane is going absolutely berserk. They barely get the Mercedes out before Alonso comes into the pits, and now they double stack the Mercedes. Great job from them, and all of the teams are going to have to do a double stack because all of the drivers have to pit on this occasion. Leclerc, 3.2 second stop for him. Nice job. And then we've got... Oh, that was close between the Sauber and the Red Bull. And then we've got, the positions now. 1 for Piastri, 2 for Norris, 3 for Verstappen. But Piastri has now got to gain 19 seconds. 9 seconds in 25 laps. Oh my God, this is like the Michael Schumacher thing, isn't it? Michael Schumacher, I think in 1999 at Hungary, had 25 laps to pull out a 19-second gap and to try and win this race. So Piastri has now got to emulate Michael Schumacher and set 19 qualifying laps, one after the other, to try and get the race win here. This is what Piastri's got to do. Michael Schumacher pulled it off, but of course, Schumacher, 7-time world champion. Oscar Piastri, fastest lap of the race for him. Half a second quicker than Lando Norris on that lap. Incredible from Piastri. It is hammer time. Let me know what you think is going to happen in the chat. Will Piastri be able to pull that one off compared... a 19-second gap is what he's got to pull in the next 25 laps. Ooh. This is going to be close, folks. This is going to be close. Everyone's done their final pit stop apart from Piastri and Norris. And, there we go. We might have to even keep track of the fastest laps here between Oscar Piastri. All right. Ollie Behrman's car is in an unsafe condition. I don't know what happened there to Ollie Behrman, but must have had some sort of damage. So as you can see there, folks, 26 seconds is lost in the pit lane. That's what the drivers lose. And, Piastri, this number here is the gap that you've all got to be looking at. 7.6 seconds is what it is right now. And by the time Piastri comes into the pits, or, by the end of the race, essentially, that needs to extend to at least, I'd say, 20 seconds or 22 seconds by the time he comes into the pits, and then he can overtake Max right at the end, because Piastri will be on soft tyres at the end of the race. I can pretty much guarantee that. Because he'll be coming in around about lap number 50, he'll put on the soft, and they'll be go, 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 and try to overtake Max Verstappen. Slow mode, we've already got slow mode, but when you got 57,000 people in chat, it gets a little bit difficult. Folks, if you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. If you haven't subscribed, be sure to do that. And, it is now go time for Oscar Piastri. He's got to gain 25 seconds on Max Verstappen. The thing is, Max is on fresh tyres as well. So it's like, it's a little bit difficult. Of course, the hard tyres are a little bit slower than the mediums, but Piastri has got reasonably old medium tyres. So... it sort of balances out, and on that previous lap, Piastri is not pulling out the gap that he needs to pull out. Esteban Ocon comes into the pits because he pitted on the second lap of the safety car rather than the first lap, so he's done his pit stop, and he'll be coming out a little bit further back from the top 10. Will the McLarens need another pit stop? Indeed, they will. McLarens will need another pit stop. Behrman is under investigation for his car being in an unsafe condition. Behrman is currently in 18th position, so I don't think it really matters. Okay, folks, so currently the point standings, let's just put them up here for a moment. You can see 18 points gained for Lando Norris, 25 for Piastri, and 15 for Verstappen. However, when the McLarens come into the pits, that is all going to change. And, well, bring the numbers up on lap number 50 after the McLarens do their pit stops. Tsunoda's been noted for an unsafe release. That might be a penalty for him, but he's down in 12th position, so it's not going to matter all that much. Why didn't McLaren pit under the safety car? Well, you got to ask McLaren's head strategist because they have it's a big screw up. Yeah. Oh, what's gone on? Behrman did he stall the car? No, something went wrong in his pit stop and he couldn't get going again. And I don't know, something went wrong with Behrman. We've got the replay here. I can't really tell. It looks like the rear jack is still on or something stuck underneath the car and he couldn't get going. Either way, Behrman down in 18th after a bad pit stop. Okay, in the net lead of this race, we've got Max Verstappen, who is in the net lead by 24... Oh, no, not 24. By 18 seconds. 18 seconds is the net lead for Max Verstappen. On the previous lap, Piastri goes 4/10 quicker, but 4/10 per lap is not enough, folks. Not enough. Lando P3 twice and he would have won anyway. Yes, it just makes it way more borderline, doesn't it? No, like McLaren could have won this Norris or Piastri could have won this championship a few races ago, or maybe this race. But yeah. Oh, okay. So they're saying. Okay, so they're saying best pace as you can to target -1. So I think their strategy will probably be pit lap 49 and they're going to try and overtake Max on a fresh set of softs at the end, which could work, by the way. This is another thing that I'd like to point out. Right at the end of the race, Max Verstappen will be on a 25-lap-old set of hard tyres. They'll be barely hanging on, whereas Piastri and Norris will be on a fresh set of softs. And the softs are way, way quicker. The lap times we were looking at yesterday during quali, the 1:19s. Right now, Max Verstappen is doing a 1:24. Of course, when the fuel loads get lighter, that will change things up quite significantly. But do not count out the McLarens on fresh softs at the end of this race. All right. Whoa. Yeah, this is going right down to the wire, folks. What if the softs give up? Well, the thing is, the softs are unlikely to give up because it'll be right at the end of the race, which means 100 kilograms less fuel in the car, and they should be able to push for a little bit longer. If it was right at the start of the race, it would be a bit more risky because you've got all of that extra fuel making so much more heat and so much more tire wear, which is a problem, but at the end of the race, not so much of an issue. Yeah, Yuki Tsunoda, no further investigation for his unsafe release, so no penalty for him, and he continues on. Norris has a damaged car, apparently, it looks like. Yeah, I think that came over the team radio, didn't it? Either way, I don't know where he's picked up damage, because he didn't... Yeah. I don't know, I think it says it came over the radio momentarily that Lando Norris had damage, but I think I missed it. I'll keep an eye out, but if someone can confirm exactly sort of what damage it was, then that'd be very, very helpful. Maybe it was driving over curbs or going over gravel. We've got a replay here. Let's see. No, I can't really make what has been damaged to Lando Norris's car. High temperature. I don't know. All right, Max Verstappen is 2 seconds back from Lando Norris. Norris is still yet to pit, and Max Verstappen is about to overtake him. Well, okay, I don't know about to overtake him, but he's still 2 seconds behind him. Underside of the car, okay. Well, we'll see if it's the plank or not, but it is there is something wrong. The damage was his front left. Oh, his chat is going by so quickly. The damage is the front left tire. He exceeded track limit second time now. It was the Red Bull engineer who noted that. Okay. Russell has also exceeded track limits now. I think this is the second or the third time Russell's done it. Maybe the second time. But yeah, Russell's exceeded track limits as well. Okay. So, anyone that's listening to this like a radio broadcast, I'll quickly just read out the top 10. We got Piastri P1, Norris P2, yet to do their pit stops, Verstappen 3rd, Carlos Sainz 4th, Antonelli 5th, Alonso 6th, Hadjar 7th, Russell 8th, and Leclerc 9th. If the McLarens come into the pits and they cannot gain all this lap time back, they will, well, they'll come out behind Max, but they will come out ahead of Carlos Sainz. Or wait. If Norris comes into the pits, Norris might come out behind Sainz as well. Piastri might hold on to second position. Norris, however, may not be able to do that, depending on what the next couple of laps and their lap times are looking like. Lando has damage. He went off. Okay. Lando has damage. Fair. Okay. That's all right. So he's maybe that explains his difference in pace, but he's 4/10 slower pretty much every single lap compared to Oscar Piastri. And well, there we go. If he went off, that is pretty much his own fault, isn't it? You know, we saw that happen with Max in sprint qualifying. He went off, damaged his floor. As a result, had a very bad sprint qualifying, got out qualified by his teammates. And you know, if Norris has gone off through his own mistake, then well, he's paying the appropriate price. Why not medium tyres for Max for the last pit stop? Because that means he would have done 3 stints on the mediums, and that's not allowed. He also didn't have 3 sets of medium tyres. He only had 2 fresh sets and 1 fresh set of hard, so he's obviously using that to go to the end. Also quite interesting here from Bortoleto. Bortoletto's put on a set of soft tyres here for... Bortoletto's, put on a set of soft tyres, and he's trying to go to the end of the race. It's going to be a little bit borderline for him. Oliver Behrman has got a 10-second stop-go penalty. The man is already down in 18th position, and they've given him a 10-second stop-go penalty. That is a total total loss of 36 seconds, and he's very much going to turn into backmarker traffic at this point. What is my name? My name is Larry. Folks, if you're watching this and you haven't followed me on Instagram, my Instagram is F1Gamer_official. I've just had a reel that's blown up because all of you guys have hit the like button on it. I've also got so many DMs as well, which I will do my best to reply to. So be sure to follow me there on Instagram, F1Gamer_official. On TikTok, it's F1Gamer_official. Yeah, without the underscore. Okay, Max Verstappen 1.6 seconds back from Lando Norris, and, well, he's doing his best to sort of stay close to him, but realistically, getting an overtake done is going to be very, very tough. Even though Norris has damage and Verstappen on the previous lap 4/10 quicker, we know how tough it is to overtake around here. All right, what are they saying over the radio to Oscar Piastri? Oh, they've just said, I think the only way of winning something. Wait, let's have a... What did they say? I think the only way of winning is if we box now and chase him down. That's what Piastri says. So Piastri wants to come into the pits now. The gap would be, when they come into the pits, 16 seconds. And Piastri wants to chase Max Verstappen down from right now. The thing is, if he comes into the pits right now, it'll be 17 laps, 17 seconds. It could work, but the problem is Max would then have clean air. Right now, he's stuck in dirty air. So, yeah, I don't know how this would work. Unless Norris backs up Max Verstappen and Piastri goes off and chases him down. But obviously that's not going to happen. Norris is the championship leader. There's no way he helps out his teammate by backing up Max Verstappen. Okay, yeah, Max is gaining 1.2 seconds as the gap. Norris's tyres are getting worse and worse, and there's still 10 laps left to go for Lando Norris on these set of tyres. So there is... Max is, in fact, getting very close to the DRS range. It's 1.08 seconds right now. And, well... Lando Norris is, well, under pressure from the charging Red Bull behind him. And honestly, this is Lando Norris's worst nightmare. Having a Red Bull in his mirrors is pretty terrible. What's just gone on here? Someone just lost 2 positions. Was that Alonso that's just dropped down 2 positions? Or was I seeing stuff? No, Alonso was ahead of Hadjar. He was holding Hadjar up for ages, and then he's now just lost the position to Hadjar. And did they show that over the replay? Have I just missed that? All right, well, Max is pushing, and is he going to get DRS as he goes through turn number 15? That is the question now. He enters sector number 2. That's McLaren's best sector number 2. And Verstappen enters with a 9/10 of a second gap. Let's see what he can exit with. We've got Hadjar losing out to George Russell as well. And Hadjar, in fact, battle between Hadjar and Russell. They're not showing that on the TV broadcast, so cheers F1 TV directors. But yeah, they're battling away. And it looks like a three-way fight and now a four-way fight. They've come over the radio to Piastri, box. So Piastri's coming into the pits, ladies and gentlemen. 16 laps remain. He's going to come out ahead of Carlos Sainz as long as McLaren don't mess up this pit stop, and then he is going to chase down Max Verstappen, with Lando Norris potentially holding him up. We'll see what Norris can do. The gap currently is half a second between Lando Norris and Verstappen. As they go in towards turn number 1, Verstappen too far back to make a move. And 1.8 second stop for the McLaren crew. Oh my god, that was quick. And, well, here comes Oscar Piastri. Well, let's have a look at what this gap is. And it is, well, as you can see there, folks, it is 17 seconds and there are 15 laps remaining. Is Lando Norris inevitably going to help out his teammate, or is Norris going to come into the pits as well? Because the more Lando Norris drives slowly and backs up Max Verstappen, the closer Piastri is going to get to overtaking him. It would be very, very strange for that to happen because, well, you know, they are, of course, competing against each other for the title. But, George Russell, lap time deleted at turn number 1. Wait, is that? I think that's the third one now for George Russell for exceeding track limits. So that might be a black and white flag. We'll keep our eyes out for that one. It might be a pit stop record as well for the McLaren boys there. And yeah, Max is doing his absolute best to try and overtake Lando Norris. The gap is currently 0.7 of a second. It's hard tyres for Piastri, but the thing is, 15 laps is too much for a stretch on the softs. You could do 7, but 15. The soft tyres are going to wear out, especially around Qatar where it's so high speed, so much lateral G-forces, it's not going to happen. And Verstappen's got the DRS. He cannot overtake Lando Norris, however, and, well, Norris has actually got to continue. Norris, the big concern for Norris is that he's got to come out ahead of Carlos Sainz, or at least come into the pits and be able to overtake Carlos Sainz. So if Norris comes into the pits now, he comes up behind Sainz and Antonelli. So Norris will not be coming into the pits soon. He may be inadvertently helping out his teammate and his championship rival, but if he comes into the pits now, he comes out behind Sainz and Antonelli, and making those overtakes is going to be pretty tough. Right. Piastri purple in the middle sector. His first and second, his third sector wasn't amazing, but it is now go purple sector 1, and I have a feeling we're going to get a triple purple here for Oscar Piastri as he pushes on and on and on right till the end of this race. He's picked the hard tyres because it is the most durable tyres that he's got available to him, and the tyre difference between Piastri and Verstappen is now 10 laps. So 10 lap tyre difference, that is sufficient to make an overtake. And Norris still not letting Max Verstappen by. This time though, Verstappen 6/10 back. Oh, the McLaren crew running outside with a set of hard tyres, and Norris has been told to box. And if he comes out now, he might come out behind Sainz and Antonelli. Piastri has just gone purple in sector 1, he's just gone purple in sector 2, and Verstappen has been released into the clean air, and Piastri has got a 15-second gap to close up, which is looking rather unlikely. Triple purple for Oscar Piastri, and he comes out ahead of Lando Norris. And here comes Sainz coming down the straight. Here comes Lando Norris. Norris is behind Sainz. Is he behind Antonelli as well? Yes, he is. Folks, everyone has done their pit stop. Let's bring up the championship order. Max Verstappen, P2 in the championship. He is 10 points back from Lando Norris. If the positions stay as they are, Oscar Piastri gets demoted down into 3rd position, and that might mean that gap goes from, it's 14 points Piastri will need in the final race and 10 points Verstappen will need in the final race ahead of Norris if it stays like this. However, Norris is on fresh tyres and is trying to overtake Antonelli and Sainz going into the final laps of the race. Okay. 13 laps remain, folks. We've got 61,000 people tuning in. This might be a world. Yeah, Alonso spun a few laps ago, did a perfect 360, but that's why he lost 2 positions. Unfortunate there for Alonso. So that was the thing that I was talking about there, which they've shown now. What's this now? 4 laps late. Either way, Alonso spun, lost 2 positions, and yeah, folks, we've got 62,000 people tuned into live stream. 1,000 more would break the world record, well, break the channel record. So thanks everyone for tuning in. If you haven't smashed the like button, be sure to do so. If you haven't subscribed, be sure to do that as well. It's a huge, huge pleasure to commentate to you guys. And oh my goodness me, this season is going down to the wire. Let's go! All right, 15 seconds is a gap between Verstappen and Piastri. And on the previous lap, Piastri goes 2/10 quicker. Like, it's not looking good for Oscar Piastri. Ollie Behrman has served his 10-second stop-go penalty and then has retired from the race. Thanks for the donation there. Superstar 8553. We've got a few donations coming in. Thanks everyone for your donations. I may have missed a few, but really is appreciated. The 25-lap rule is because Lusail eats tyres. Indeed, that is correct. Thanks a ton for these coverages. Really is appreciated, folks. Thanks everyone for all of the donations. It means so much. Hopefully you guys have also got no adverts as well. I do my best to block adverts to make the race viewing experience much nicer. So I hope you guys are enjoying. Okay, so here we go then. Lando Norris has a, what's this? We've got a replay of Norris and a big snap of oversteer as he goes through turns number 7, I think that is. Yeah, those tyres aren't warmed up properly. And, well, he's got to chase down Antonelli if he wants to have a much better chance of winning this title. But is it looks like it might be a 3-way fight going into Abu Dhabi, and I'm all here for it, folks. I'm all here for it, folks. The standings again. This is what the standings look like. 10 points between Norris and Verstappen if it ends like this, and 14 points between Norris and Piastri if it ends like this. Okay. Carlos Sainz is on for the podium. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Carlos Sainz has already got a podium this season with Williams, and he may be going on for his second one. Lando Norris is pushing, but Antonelli will be defending on behalf of Carlos Sainz. So, what do you think, folks? Will Carlos Sainz score a podium here? This might be podium number 2 for Carlos Sainz this season. This is looking absolutely mega. All right, thank you everyone for tuning in. Hope you guys are all enjoying the coverage as we are, well, approaching the latter stages of the race here in Qatar. Piastri's over the radio, obviously not too happy with the fact that he is 15 seconds behind Max Verstappen. Only a safety car can save him now. And, well, I don't know if anyone's going to have contact. There is a few battles going on, Alonso versus Leclerc, Lawson versus Stroll, and Tsunoda versus Lawson, that could cause some contact and safety car. Who is your driver of the day, ladies and gentlemen? We have got 10 laps remaining of this race. Lance Stroll up 8 positions, clearly the GOAT. Lance Stroll up 8 positions from 18th up until 10th. So maybe he is your driver of the day. Oscar Piastri purple in sector 3, but still on the previous lap, only 4/10 faster than Max Verstappen. Okay. Oh, this is looking good. This is looking good. All right. Also, folks, if you haven't followed me on Instagram, it's F1Gamer_official. I post some pretty fantastic memes here, and I've only got 300 followers. And maybe you'll even be able to see 300. I don't know if you can see, but 300 followers. We've got 60,000 people watching. Very much really appreciate if you guys can follow. Having some banger memes on there. Okay, 10 laps to go. Okay, George Russell trying to overtake Isaac Hadjar. Will Norris be able to overtake Kimi Antonelli? The gap is 1.8 seconds. This is critical for the world title. Critical, genuinely, because that would help so much in just giving him that security, that safety cushion going into Abu Dhabi, that even if he messes up, has a spin, has a slow pit stop, he'll still be able to win the title. He has to overtake Antonelli to get that safety margin. Otherwise, Max Verstappen is there, and Max Verstappen is Lando Norris's worst nightmare going into Abu Dhabi. Carlos Sainz, the smooth operator, is holding on for P3. Max Verstappen in P1 in a race where he does not have the pace to stay in P1, but McLaren have screwed up their strategy in monumental fashion going into Qatar. You know, the pressure is getting to them, the lack of sleep may be getting to them. They have never dealt with such a high pressure scenario. All of the McLaren engineers that were working back in 2007, 2008, they have long left, and we've got a brand new set of engineers that have never experienced the pressure of a championship battle. And, well, you can clearly see that in the strategy decisions today. All right. Everyone is nice and spread out. Max Verstappen 13 seconds ahead of Oscar Piastri. Lando Norris is getting closer. 9 laps remain of this race. We have got 50 kilometers of racing left to go. Lando Norris 1.1 seconds behind Kimi Antonelli. McLaren doing 2007 stuff without yeah. I mean, they've genuinely, this is looking like 2007 all over again, where Kimi Raikkonen came and stole the championship from 47 points back. If you translate the sort of the new point standing system over, Max Verstappen at one point 104 points back from the championship leader. This would be the comeback, the biggest comeback that Formula One has seen in the history of the sport. And, well, Max Verstappen is the driver to do it. Piastri, purple in the final sector on the previous lap, this time half a second quicker, but he needs to be 1 second quicker, 1.5 seconds quicker. With only 8 laps left to go, the gap between Piastri and Verstappen is 12 seconds. Okay. Oh my goodness me. Max has to pit or Piastri will overtake. No, Max is not pitting. Nobody else is doing a single pit stop to the end of this race. 8 laps remain. Everyone's going to the end. Lando Norris has got damage as well, which of course is not helping, but he is now within DRS range of Kimi Antonelli. So they go through sector number 2. Antonelli has got a papaya McLaren with 12 lap fresher hard tyres in his mirrors, but Qatar is notoriously one of the hardest circuits to overtake at, and we'll see if that move can be overtaken. Yeah, just as I say, no one else has to pit. Stroll comes into the pit, so apologies for that one. Stroll has to come into the pits, but I think with the exception of Stroll, everyone else is going to the end of the race. Yeah, I guess it's the commentator's curse, shall we say. They come through turn number 15. The DRS section point is there on the exit, and Norris is now firmly tucked into that DRS. They go in towards the final corner. Norris cannot mess up the entry, and he doesn't do so. A little bit of the rear end dancing about as he gets onto the power. The gap is 0.6 of a second. Both of them, Mercedes power unit, blasting down the straight. Lando Norris with the DRS open. He is not close enough to get a move. Kimi Antonelli holds on for lap number 51 of 57. All right, here we go. That is the first lap of defense from Kimi Antonelli. Will he be able to hold it on for the next 7 laps, or will Norris be able to surpass the rookie driver? Yeah, 7 laps of Kimi Antonelli defending. If they have contact, also Norris cannot be risky here. If Norris gets contact with Antonelli, if he spins, if he has the rear wheel even so touch Kimi Antonelli's car, he risks a puncture. That is how borderline it is with the Pirelli tyres this weekend. So there is no risk that can be taken by Lando Norris, and he's stuck behind Antonelli right now. We saw what happened with Hülkenberg and Gasly. Folks, if any of you have just tuned into the live stream here, Hülkenberg and Gasly had the tiniest amount of contact going into turn 1. Gasly and Hülkenberg both got a puncture. Hülkenberg had to DNF. Gasly had to come into the pits immediately, and that was a tiny amount of contact. If Norris does that, he's a little bit closer actually going towards turn number 16 on this occasion. He's got the DRS. He is now firmly within the slipstream. Who knows how much overtake button Kimi Antonelli has got, but they blast their way down the start-finish straight. DRS is open, 335 kilometers per hour for Lando Norris. He looks to the inside, but he is too far back again to make an overtake. Lap 52, and Antonelli holds on. Smooth operator is looking good for a podium at the penultimate race of the season. Okay, it's been told press and hold and time cancel. I have no grip under braking. That's what Norris is saying. The dirty air is causing huge problems for Lando Norris. And, well, it spells trouble for the British driver. Okay, Lando the bad exit out of turn 16. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Once you're in the dirty air, you can really easily overcook your exit, get onto the power too early, twitch the rear about, and that's it. You cannot make an overtake in towards turn 1. Antonelli has to make a mistake if Norris is going to get past. Currently, our driver of the day split 29% to Verstappen, 24 to Sainz, 14% to Piastri. But Sainz, oh my goodness me, what a job he has done. Verstappen has led a very nice race and, avoided the strategy mess-ups that McLaren have done. Kimi is like Perez in 2025. Yeah, Kimi is doing exactly that. For anyone that is hoping for Verstappen to win, Kimi Antonelli is doing a nice job. And I'm sure Toto Wolff will be happy about that, going over to Max Verstappen saying, one of my drivers helped you out in the championship battle. What do you think about coming to Mercedes? We've got 63,000 people tuning into the live stream. Thank you all for tuning in. If you haven't hit that like button, be sure to do so. Hopefully we can make our way towards 10,000 likes. We've already hit the like target. We may even hit 220k subs. Oh my goodness me, right, let's set the target. Folks, if you haven't subscribed, be sure to do so. I'll be commentating in Abu Dhabi, and oh my god, I'm already shaking. I've already got goosebumps, and this is mental. With 5 laps left to go, Antonelli is 8/10 clear of Lando Norris. Carlos Sainz is only 1.6 seconds up the road. Antonelli is pushing hard. Sainz maybe is conserving his tyres a little bit, but that gap is getting dangerously close. Maybe, big brain strategy here, Carlos Sainz gives DRS to Antonelli so Norris cannot overtake, and there is no risk for Carlos Sainz to lose this podium. That might be the strategy. Who knows? That Sainz has done it before. He's invented up some good strategies in the past. Maybe he will continue inventing. He's driving an experimental setup that Williams was not comfortable with, but he was like, guys, trust me, I know what I'm doing here. Williams did trust him, and he's up in P3. Great job by the smooth operator. Okay. Lap 54 or 57, 4 laps remain. Gap between Verstappen and Piastri, 11 seconds. There is no way that is being closed up. I can't watch. God bless. You should do a podcast. Thanks for the donation there. And honestly, once I get some free time in the off season, I will be doing so. Down the main straight they go. Lando Norris, 0.8 of a second. It is too far back yet again. And Kimi Antonelli holds on for one more lap. Okay, well. And the gap between Sainz and Antonelli now down to 1.5 seconds. I think Sainz is doing exactly that. He may just be giving a little bit of a slipstream, a little bit of a tow to make sure that Antonelli can hold on to 4th position and make sure Sainz can hold on to 3rd. All right. Oh my God. Okay. So we have got Verstappen just coming through some traffic. Piastri is behind Stroll. In fact, Piastri hasn't even overtaken Stroll for quite a while. Stroll's out on a fresh set of softs. Not much to look out for there. Charles Leclerc in 9th position, and it's 13th position for Lewis Hamilton. It is another day of absolute depression, and the Ferrari cycle being so true for the Ferrari team. 9th place for him, but we'll see. The season can't end early enough for them. Folks, in 1 week's time, the title decider will be going down in Abu Dhabi. I shall put the point standings up on the screen yet again, but the way that is looking right now, if it stays in the order that it currently is, 10 points is the gap between Norris and Verstappen, and 14 points is the gap between Norris and Piastri. Okay, let's zoom out of there. Piastri lap time deleted for exceeding track limits. I mean, that's not really an issue. He's 12 seconds ahead of Carlos Sainz. And again, going down the straight, Norris cannot make the overtake. Antonelli is holding this one off comfortably. His exits out of turn number 16 have been looking so confident. And Antonelli is doing exactly what he needs to do to hold on to P4 for the Mercedes team. All right, and Sainz now, he might even be doing it. Look at that gap, 1.1 seconds. Sainz is really slowed down. Oh, it's just jumped up to 1.4, but Sainz is doing might be helping out Antonelli here just to ensure that, Norris doesn't get up into P4 and his position isn't at risk with 3 laps left to go. Carlos Sainz's tyres are fading. The Mercedes does well in these cool conditions. Carlos Sainz, however, may be struggling a little bit more with that Mercedes. Isaac Hadjar loses out of position. Damage to Isaac Hadjar. There's a puncture. Puncture to Isaac Hadjar. We've got 2 laps left of the race. He's on the hard tyres, and he's got a front left issue, and there's sparks flying out of the car. Hadjar going slowly. The race may even be neutralised. I don't know what's going on there, but there's something wrong with Isaac Hadjar's car. As we approach the final few laps of the Qatar Grand Prix, Hadjar dropping down the pack, and... oh my goodness me. if Verstappen gets a tyre failure now and we get the scenes repeated from 2020 Silverstone, that'd be crazy. Currently, the gap between Verstappen and Piastri, 10 seconds. Track slippery, sector number 1 and 2. Antonelli holds off Lando Norris yet again. We are on the penultimate lap of the race, and Antonelli is still holding off Lando Norris as we go into lap 56 of 57. Okay, what's Isaac Hadjar doing? He's still just driving slowly. I think he can make it back to the pits, but I don't think a safety car is coming out right now. Okay, potential debris down the main straight, so that might be it. There may be some carbon fiber, there may just be a tyre failure. It's not looking good for the hard tyres, but of course, only 2 laps remain. But imagine if one of the championship contenders gets a tyre failure right now. That would be mental. Yuki Tsunoda's into the points, great job from him. And Norris does get ahead of Antonelli on this occasion. As they go through turns sector number 2, Antonelli makes a mistake, loses a monumental amount of time, and Lando Norris up into P4. This has really mixed up the championship battle, and now Sainz has got Lando Norris in his mirrors. We're on the final lap of the race. Max Verstappen is already in the first sector, and Antonelli has unfortunately made a big mistake there. For all of the Max Verstappen fans that were cheering on cheering on Kimi Antonelli to hold him off, Antonelli made the mistake, sector 2, unfortunately, and yeah, look at that points gap now. It is a little bit bigger. You can see there it is now 12 points. Instead of 10, Norris is 12 points ahead of Max Verstappen instead of 10. And for Piastri, the points gap is 16. Okay. We are here on the final lap of the race, and it is Max Verstappen P1, Oscar Piastri P2, Carlos Sainz P3, and Lando Norris P4. Oh my goodness me, 67,000 people tune into the live stream. This is absolutely record breaking. We are the biggest live stream on YouTube. Thank you all for tuning in. Hope you're all enjoying the coverage, and look forward to commentating to you guys next weekend in Abu Dhabi. This championship is going to go right down to the wire, but Max Verstappen sees the checkered flag. He wins the race in Qatar. 25 points for the Flying Dutchman. Oscar Piastri comes home in P2 after a strategy blunder that McLaren should not have made. This should have been an easy 25 points for Oscar Piastri, but it was not. And Lando Norris, 7/10 is the gap as they come out of the final corner between Sainz and Norris. But Sainz get a great exit. The smooth operator, podium number 2 in 2025. He's done it. And Lando Norris, 4th position for him. 5th for Kimi Antonelli. 6th for George Russell. And that has been the Grand Prix here in Qatar. Oh my goodness me. This is absolutely mental. Berserk. So folks, the championship standings. This is what everyone is looking for. And in fact, let me just zoom in. You can see there, the championship standings. Lando Norris, 408 points to his name. Max Verstappen 396, and then Oscar Piastri 392. 12 points is the gap between Lando Norris and Max Verstappen. 16 points is the gap between Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. Folks, it has been an incredible pleasure tuning in, commentating to you guys. There is a link in the description to the entire Abu Dhabi Grand Prix weekend playlist. I'm streaming all of the practice sessions, all of the qualifying session and the race. And wow. That is our final point standings. Let me put the Abu Dhabi link there. Abu Dhabi. So be sure to hit the like button on all of those videos. But that is the end of the race. Wow. Next week is going to be epic, folks. It is going to be incredible to watch. Folks, we have just hit 220k subscribers. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today's stream was mental. Next week is going to be even more crazy. Thank you all for tuning in. It has been an incredible pleasure commentating to you guys. And we're going to have a look at the possible permutations that Verstappen can win, possible permutations that Piastri can win, and obviously the possible permutations that Lando Norris, our championship leader, can win the race. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, folks, I'm going to end the stream. It'll take you over to the Abu Dhabi stream. If you can hit the like button on the Abu Dhabi stream, it will tremendously help out the channel. The algorithm, I cannot describe to you how much the YouTube algorithm loves it. And I would like this to be the biggest stream the channel has ever seen, potentially up to 90,000, 100,000 people watching. So if you guys could hit the like button, that'd be so, so incredible and really will help out the channel. And yeah, Lando might win, Max might win, Piastri might win. It goes right down to the wire. I've got my suit ready. And wait, in fact, let me just, for anyone that's just tuned in, this is, I said a little bit earlier on in the season, if we get a three-way fight going down into Abu Dhabi, this is what I'm wearing. And yeah, I cannot wait. Okay, so I think that's all from me. So I'm going to end the stream. We've got 30,000 people here. If you could all smash the like button for the quali stream, it would be, for the race stream, sorry, for Abu Dhabi, it'd be mental. But be sure to tune into FP1, FP2, FP3. FP2 specifically, that is the one that is most representative of qualifying, and that's when they do their quali sims. So FP2, if you can make it to that stream, be sure to tune into that one. And then, of course, qualifying in the race will be mental. So I hope to see you all there. I won't even be able to sit down for the whole race. I'm honestly going to be standing up for the whole commentary. There's a link there for the Abu Dhabi thing in the pinned chat, but once I end the stream, we'll take you there as well. So thank you all for tuning in. It's been an incredible pleasure commentating to you guys. Have a wonderful morning, day, afternoon, evening, or night, depending on where you are around the world. And in 1 week's time, we are going to find out who is the 2025 Formula One World Championship. Can Max still win? Yes, he can. Can Piastri still win? Yes, he can. Can Lando Norris still win? Yes, he can. All right, folks. All thanks to Nico Hulkenberg. So Nico Hulkenberg is my driver of the day. Nico Hulkenberg, Pierre Gasly brought out the safety car. Big shout out to them. Yeah. All right, next week's going to be a thriller. See you all then, folks. Bye-bye.